Guevara. We're going to be hearing from MJF. So we've got an MJF promo to look forward to. And we've got Riho taking on Jamie Hayter. Feels like we could do with a bit of a talking point. Feels like WWE, and obviously, I don't want to start comparing the two straight out of the gates, but it does feel like WWE has got a lot of things going on that's sparking conversation. So, obviously, a lot of Bray Wyatt stuff sparks conversation. They've just had The Rock's daughter debut on NXT, which has been a big conversation today. I've seen plenty of people talking about Ava Raine. So that's obviously caught people's attention. There's not much coming off Raw, if we're being completely honest. But it does feel like AEW could really do with a positive talking point. Obviously, the conversation seems to be around CM Punk and the Elite and what's going on there. There is an update in regards to that. Dropped on Fightful Select and a few hours ago, and it was basically that the Elite are expected backstage imminently. So it is expected that they will be around Dynamite, Rampage. They will be there. Might not be getting used on TV straight away. We might not be telling stories with them and having matches, but we are looking at bringing them back so that we can start finding a way forward, I believe. So it looks pretty good for the Elite return. And obviously there's been big rumors that CM Punk's going to be bought out of his contract. So the way that this seems like it's going, it feels like we might be at the end of the road for CM Punk in AEW. And if that is the case, then I can't see any reason as to why the Elite wouldn't return. I mean, the biggest disaster for Tony Khan would be if he loses CM Punk and the Elite. If he loses Kenny and the Young Bucks and CM Punk, like, that's a disaster. So I think ideally he would like to keep both. I think it's become apparent that he can't keep both. And so a decision has had to be made. I don't know how he reached this decision. That'd be very interesting to find out. How did he decide that it was better for CM Punk to go and Kenny and the Young Bucks to stay, rather than Kenny and the Young Bucks to go and CM Punk to stay? I actually don't know how that decision was made or why that decision was made, but seemingly, and I'm not saying he's wrong, I'm just saying I don't know how it was made or why it was made that way. I'm certainly not saying he was wrong, but yeah, it looks like CM Punk could be on his way out, and the Elite could be coming back imminently, but as we said, in a backstage role, first of all, according to Fightful. So it feels like there needs to be a bit of a talking point. I think it might be MJF. I feel like MJF might be that talking point, which isn't the biggest surprise in the world, because whenever he's got a segment, he is a focus. And his segment last week was obviously a big talking point. His segment with William Regal. A lot of praise to that segment. And for me, I am more focused on where it's going. I'm more focused on what are they trying to do with MJF. Is this the start of a face turn? Because he sort of came out of that promo a bit more of a face than a heel in my eyes. And then when we got to the main event, he wouldn't cash in his chip on Moxley, who was injured and bleeding, as always, and vulnerable. Instead, he said, I want to beat you when you're at your best. So that's not very MJF heelish, is it? That's kind of strange. So I'm just a bit confused, to be honest, as to where this is going, what we're heading towards in regards to MJF. So I do think the promo tonight is going to be very, very interesting. So, yeah, a few things tonight. Actually, not a bad-looking show. I really like Swerve In Our Glory. I really like FTR. I really like Danielson. I really like MJF. I really like Jamie Hayter. She's taking on Riho. So that's a good, credible match because Riho, of course, the first AEW Women's Champion. So, yeah, there's a few things tonight which I think look pretty good. But the bigger thing, can they find that talking point? Can they find that juicy moment that's going to have the wrestling world talking and buzzing about AEW following the show tonight. Don't know what it'll be, but hopefully they can find something. Brenton said, Dave, shout out to you. Thoughts on Triple H wanting to get rid of a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view? I think he should get rid of Money in the Bank and put it back at WrestleMania. I am totally fine with him losing Hell in a Cell. I personally am a bigger fan of them just using matches when they need matches. It feels to me like if you do Hell in a Cell, we know that we're going to get 1 or 2 Hell in a Cell matches. And, you know, they're fairly good at having a couple of feuds that need them. They book, obviously, with that in mind. But it means we don't really see them, like, for the rest of the year. And it's just better if you tell a feud, tell a story that needs a Hell in a Cell. And then, you know, you can do it there and then. And I like the freedom that provides. You know, if you need to do an Elimination Chamber because you've got a story that needs an Elimination Chamber, then do it. You don't need the pay-per-view, just do it. If you need to do Hell in a Cell, then just do it. If you need to do War Games, just do it. I just sort of feel like it's too restrictive doing it this way. I know it's kind of nice to have that theme, but I don't think people get that excited for Hell in a Cell or Extreme Rules or TLC. I think the matches are what gets people excited, but I don't think people are like, oh, I really can't wait for TLC. It's my favorite pay-per-view, or I really can't wait for Hell in a Cell. Oh, it's my favorite pay-per-view. I don't know anyone who goes like, you know, crazy about Hell in a Cell or TLC or Elimination Chamber. I'm just trying to think of the gimmick ones. And so for me, yeah, I've got no problem losing them. I think we can get rid of them and replace them with some fairly generic, not generic, boring generic, but like, you know, take Halloween Havoc, for example. Imagine if that was on the main roster and then you just had the ability to do whatever you wanted, really, around October time on the main roster. And then obviously in November, you got Survivor Series. And then ultimately December probably should have one. Maybe you do that holiday themed, and that could be kind of fun if it was like a holiday themed one. Again, you can do any sort of matches on it, but the theming of the show could be Christmas, holidays, and that could be enjoyable. Like, I think that could be really, really fun. That could be really fun. They could also do like a bit of a giveaway as well. Do you remember when they gave away a house for In Your House? Imagine if they like gave away to people that were watching like cars and things along those lines. Like, just, I don't know, like you can enter, like maybe we could all enter for free on the website, and then they draw out tickets and give away cars and things. Like not loads of things, obviously. Just, I don't know, have like 3 or 4 winners dotted throughout the show. And they do that just for like the Christmas pay-per-view, and that's them giving out gifts, giving out presents, kind of a thing, you know. I really like that. And again, you know, on that show, if you need to do like a Hell in a Cell, or you need to do a War Games, or you need to do a ladder match, or you need to do whatever, just do it. Just do it. So I really like themings. I do like themings, but I don't like it when they're themed around specific matches, because I just think that's too restrictive. So yeah, I'm all for it. Get rid of Hell in a Cell, replace it with something else. In fact, I really like what they've just done with NXT. They've just lost War Games and they've replaced it with NXT Deadline, which I think sounds brilliant. That's a fantastic sounding pay-per-view name. Obviously, if there was a bit of a theme to Deadline, then we could start getting excited about what that theme would be. But at the moment, like, we don't really know what it means, what it stands for. But I like the name, NXT Deadline. That's replacing War Games, so yeah, exciting. Brenton said, thoughts on the whole Punk thing? I am on Punk's side. Bucks and Omega aren't nearly the draws that Punk are. Page should have gone since he started it with that promo. I'm torn, to be honest, because I think it was Just Nick I had a conversation with. I did an interview on Just Nick's channel. It's nearly 2 hours long, and we cover so much stuff. We talk a lot about AEW, actually, and it was really fun. So if you've not seen it, it's on his channel, and I think it's good conversation. And one of the things we spoke about was CM Punk and Hangman, and about who was to blame and what was like, and I was very much like, yeah, Hangman should have got in trouble because he was part of this, even though he wasn't part of the brawl, he was still part of like the build to it. If he hadn't have done what he did with the promo and then spoken out in interviews, CM Punk would not have got wound up and, wouldn't have said the things he said at the media scrum. But I think it was just Nick that said and made a good point. Something must have happened for Hangman to have spoken out. There must have been things that he saw or was being told, or, clearly there's conversations that are being had. I don't think this is Hangman operating alone. So there's clearly some things happening behind the scenes that we've not been privy to. And there's clearly some feelings behind the scenes that, CM Punk's put a few noses out of joint. I don't know if it all just stems from Colt and the fallout with Colt and the fact that they were being kept apart and maybe that was breeding resentment. It would have been a hell of a lot better if CM Punk, and he wouldn't want to do it, right? And he, maybe it's hard to say if he should have done it, but what I can say is it would have been easier if he'd have just shook him by the hand. If he'd have just gone up to Colt and said, look, I'm here now, you're here. I know where our relationship is, but I just want to shake you by the hand to say business is business. And, I won't get in your way or whatever, and just sort of clear the air. Because I think part of the problem is that I don't think they've spoke. I think they've been kept apart. And I think that has just bred resentment. I think it started chit-chattering backstage. I think that it's just sort of been slowly building and bubbling as sort of wrestlers maybe choose a side. And it didn't need to be that way. If you could have found a way, CM Punk might never have done that, right? CM Punk I could have been Tony Khan and proposed that, and he could have laughed in my face, right? So I'm not saying that this is a Tony Khan fault. Can't say Tony Khan's wrong for it. But what I can say is that I do think things would have been smoother had that have happened, because hopefully then Colt would have said, no, it's cool. We've shook hands. It's all good business. We're just gonna, we know where each other stands, and maybe that would have just took a bit of the temperature away. Maybe that would have just settled things down a little bit. It's really hard to know. I mean, without actually being backstage, knowing if that was possible, and my gut feeling is it probably wasn't. But clearly, because of that issue, things have built. I think CM Punk probably has put a few noses out of joint backstage. I think there has been talk backstage. And I think Hangman's the kind of person that's like, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm not going to stay silent anymore. So he went out and added it to a promo, which was really stupid and clearly not the right way to deal with things. But it is interesting if you just go one step back before that and just go, what was happening backstage? What was CM Punk doing? What was the locker room conversations, So it's really difficult. It's really, really difficult without knowing exactly what's gone on and getting everyone's version of events. It's really hard to know kind of the situation. I mean, the only thing I can say is they did an investigation into it, and the end result looks like they're going to pay off CM Punk and not bring him back. Now, whether they're doing that because after talking to everyone, that's the right thing to do, or is it the easy thing to do? Maybe it's the easy thing to do because you speak to a load of people don't like him, and you might have ended up losing more than just Omega and the Young Bucks. If Omega and the Young Bucks had gone, there may have been a list of several other people that could have followed them out the door. And so it's a case of you either lose CM Punk or you lose Young Bucks, Kenny, Sammy, such and such, QT Marshall, Goldust, and maybe there's a list. I don't know. I'm not saying there is. I'm just saying that there must be a reason as to why CM Punk has been paid. Thanks a lot, goodbye. And the Elite have been retained. But without all the information, it's really hard to say. I certainly couldn't sit here and say no. They should be keeping CM Punk and losing Elite and Mega, because it's just not that clean, is it? It's not going to be that clean. It's not going to be as simple as that. There's going to be a lot of other factors that are involved, and it could be other people walking out the door. Tony wants a non-compete, said Jeremy. What, from CM Punk? If I was CM Punk, I mean, look, if I was CM Punk, I really don't think I'm going to WWE. I know there's a lot of excitement out there at the thought of him going back to WWE, but I just don't see it. I just think that he had a bad relationship with Triple H. I don't think that relationship has improved. I don't think they've spoken. He also got his release papers on his wedding day. Don't forget, he sued the WWE doctor because of the malpractice, if you will. Like, he didn't feel that he was being looked after. So, his well-being was not being looked after. His career, he didn't feel was being looked after right. He spoke out and said that he was the champ, but he never felt like the guy. He was always being overshadowed. So he had lots of frustrations at WWE. He didn't like Triple H. Got his release papers on the day of his wedding. Sued the doctor at WWE. The notion now that he would go back to them after being so vocal about not respecting them. He's cut many promos in AEW where he's laid into WWE. I just don't see it. I just can't see it. I don't know. I mean, look, if I'm CM Punk, I'm not happy with what's happened, and I don't want to make things easy, to be honest. And I don't think I want to be signing a non-compete, because I just want to make things a bit difficult now. Screw them. Do you know what I mean? They've ruined my return, basically. I had an opportunity to come back thanks to Tony, and I enjoyed it, and things were going great, but obviously there was some frustrations as well. And as he said, I work for children. And so he never respected them and their opinions or anything. And, ultimately they've cost him his job. And so he is going to be resentful towards them. They are executive vice presidents. So he's going to want to make things tricky for AEW. I don't know that he's going to want to go as far as to actually join WWE. But I don't know that he's going to want to make things easy. So I don't know that he's signing non-competes and all this kind of stuff. But because he could, do the odd match in New Japan. He could do, I don't know where else he would go, to be honest. Where else would he go? He ain't going to go to Impact or MLW, is he? And if he ain't going to WWE, AAA, CMLL, New Japan. I mean, outside of that, unless you know of any other monster wrestling organizations that I'm not aware of, I don't think MLW is it. There's just not really anyone else around, unless you go, as you said, down to Mexico or something. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. What comes of it. Trini said, Hangman shouldn't have said what he said, but that was the situation to be dealt with backstage, not by throwing a tantrum like a 5-year-old in public and the media scrum. James said, Tony was never going to lose the Elites. Without them and Cody, AEW doesn't exist. Also, Punk and Colt didn't have to like each other, just needed to be professional. I agree. And I think that's the big disappointment is, as we said, about shaking hands. I don't think he had it in him to do it. I don't think he had him in it to do it. And I can understand it. I mean, they were great. They were good friends. And, you hear CM Punk talk about how he used to pay his bills and look after him. And I think that's turned into a real resentment now. And obviously there was the big legal case and it was all very public. And I can understand it being very difficult to go up to him and just shake hands and say, I know where our relationship is. I know that it's not going to get fixed, and fine. I'm not looking for it to get fixed. I just want you to know that I'm here for business. I'm not going to get in your way. I don't want there to be conversations happening on, WhatsApp group chats or anything behind my back. I'm not doing anything here other than coming back and just carrying on my story, my career, basically. And maybe if there could have just been that understanding, maybe it would have dampened down the temperature. But I don't think that he had it in him, to be honest, to do that. I don't know if Colt had it in him. I have no idea. I feel like Colt maybe would have done it, because what's Colt got to lose? But it never happened anyway. But yeah, in regards to Hangman, clearly dealt with it the wrong way. But I think everyone did. I mean, what CM Punk did was wrong. You can't look at CM Punk's comments at the media scrum and say that was fine and acceptable. Yeah, I mean, he gets paid a lot of money by AEW. To say that he's being like working for children and laying into like them as executive vice presidents, like in such a public way, that wasn't right by Punk. So, I mean, I feel like Hangman made mistakes. I feel like Punk made mistakes. I feel like the Elite made mistakes. I feel like Tony Khan made mistakes. A lot of mistakes had to happen in order to get where we got. And it's just disappointing, isn't it, really? It's just disappointing. Bacon Time 1234 said Deadline is the new takeover, hence one in the logo. Deadline is the new takeover, hence one in the logo, ? I don't know, to be honest. It could be. It could be that instead of NXT takeovers, we have NXT deadlines going forward. So it could be NXT Deadline Brooklyn, NXT Deadline. I don't know if it's going to be. I haven't seen any word on that. So it's a good thought. It really could go that way. It could be that we are going to get NXT deadlines rather than NXT takeovers. Either way, I like them. I just think it's a great name. Whether it's a one-off pay-per-view or it's going to be what the names are going forwards, I like them. I think they're really good. Mitchell, shout out to you, my friend. Hope you are well. Mitchell said, I don't get it. Yes, Hangman was off script, but no casual fan knew what he was referring to. Cornette is clearly a Punk mark. Do I love the Elite? No, but Punk has done way worse. Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about like Cornette and his thoughts. I mean, those are his thoughts. So in regards to us just kind of getting into the weeds of it and us talking about like where we put the blame, I can only tell you that I blame them all. Here's what it comes down to. I mean, I don't think that you can say CM Punk was right to do what he did at the media scrum and say what he said. So for me, he takes blame. As I said, Hangman completely wrong. I know you can say, oh, the fans didn't know in the promo thing, but it's not even about that, is it? It's about the fact the boys in the back would have known. And basically you're disrespecting CM Punk and taking shots at CM Punk on a promo in the ring. The boys in the back are going to know what it all means, right? And CM Punk's just being made to look a bit of a fool, isn't he? In front of the boys in the back. And that ain't going to wash very well for CM Punk. That ain't going to go down very well for someone that is seemingly their top babyface and seemingly someone that I think regards himself as being a businessman, a professional. You know, he was talking during the media scrum about how idiotic it was to be trying to knock down your number one babyface. And he's there to do business. And I feel like CM Punk genuinely believes that he is there to, you know, push AEW forwards and to improve AEW. And I think if, like, someone's going to come along and try and embarrass him in front of the boys, in front of the locker room, that's going to rub him up the wrong way. So for me, there's so many different ways you can deal with those issues. I think trying to embarrass CM Punk in front of the locker room is not the way forward. So Hangman has to take some of the blame because he did not de-escalate this situation. He massively escalated the situation. He took something that was bubbling away and took it to the next level, which then obviously CM Punk responded with putting the belt down, calling out Hangman when Hangman, I don't believe, was even there and wasn't even scheduled to be called out to, you know, I remember seeing that promo from Punk being like, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Like him calling out Hangman, putting the belt down and calling him down to the ring. And then when he didn't come out, calling him a coward and all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, look, CM Punk responded in kind Two wrongs, guys, they don't make a right. Yeah, two wrongs do not make a right. Just because someone did it to you, it doesn't mean you should do it back to them. But that's exactly what he did. And then he went forward with the media scrum stuff as well. I think that was after some other comments had come out in the week. Because I think it had been reported Colt had been moved to the Ring of Honor roster. And there was murmurings that was because of CM Punk. So, yeah, look, I mean, we can get deep down into this and really debate till the cows come home. But I don't think anyone's going to change my opinion on it that everyone was to blame. You know, Hangman has to take blame. CM Punk has to take blame. Kenny and the Bucks have to take blame because bursting into a locker room the way they did and trying to, do whatever. I mean, they were angry. They burst in, and I think they were trying to have a conversation with him, which in the heat of the moment, just moment, because I would imagine, I don't know if CM Punk would have said those comments and then instantly regretted them. I have no idea. I don't think he would, but who knows? I think he will have said a lot of stuff. I'm sure his phone was blowing up because you're going to have all his friends going, dude, are you all right? You're going to have everyone. It blew up on social media. So I've got to think his phone was blowing up. So I think he has to know that it's a thing that he's just done. So I have to think the adrenaline's pumping, tensions may be quite high after the media scrum. And then all of a sudden you've got Kenny and the Bucks bursting into your changing room. That was probably only going to go one way, wasn't it? So they, in my mind, didn't deal with it. You needed for it to settle down. You needed to really have it in a boardroom, some sort of meeting room, maybe not there and then. Just let things die down a little bit. Cooler heads needed to prevail. But it's so easy to sit here and go, in retrospect, they should have done that. He should have done that. They should have done that. Life is mistakes that people make. I've made tons in my life. In the heat of the moment, you're not really looking at the bigger picture and you're not really thinking straight. So it's one of them, innit? They all made mistakes. Whether those mistakes were malicious, I have no idea. Kenny, for example, could have gone in thinking, let's get this sorted now. Kenny might have burst into that changing room thinking, we can't let this get further out of control. Yeah, we need to get this sorted. Let's go and speak to him now. Let's get this sorted now. And he could have gone in with that intention. It's just, I think he's gone in with the Bucks and, a Steele's wife was in there looking after Larry the dog. And so, things just spiraled, didn't they? And just got a horrific mess. I know that this might be a bit boring because it's all old news. But you have to remember that we're starting to now learn what the results are going to be. And the result is going to be, seemingly, that CM Punk is gone from AEW. That is... Think about how big of a get it was when they brought him in. It really was one of the biggest news stories. CM Punk coming back to wrestling and that amazing return, which they executed perfectly. They've thrown that away. They have thrown it away. No one else but them have thrown that away. That is staggering. That is staggering. Staggering that you get an asset that big and you mismanage it to the point where you're having to just buy him out of his contract and it just got thrown away. So, these mistakes that were made, whether they were malice or not, whether they were just incompetence, then the end result is you've lost one of your biggest assets. So it's a conversation that's always worth having. Mitchell, shout out to you, though. Great comment. Great comment. It's always good to see where people are putting the blame and see what people are seeing. And there's so much information out there. There could be information I'm not aware of that really changes the story a bit. Jeremy says, that's the thing Punk did in front of reporters, not fans, Page in ring. Kenny said he wouldn't hire half of the bleep that Tony hired to wrestlers' faces. What's worse? Brenton said Punk probably knew that may have been his last match, potentially in AEW, at least until the Bucks and Omega leave. Cornette and last talked and said that Punk probably knew he was hurt and so spoke his mind. Hawkins Jr. said CM Punk has a job for Mindy's Bakery. He's got nothing to worry about. Yeah, they got great promotion out of it. Richard said, who will stop Damage Control? Does someone need to stop them? I mean, I suppose they've taken out Alexa, Asuka, and Candice, so I suppose they are causing trouble. But I did see a quote. Someone sent me a quote that Bully Ray said, I don't know if it was on the radio. I know he does Busted Open sometimes, but he said, I don't think people care about Damage Control. And he's absolutely right. I don't think people care about Damage Control either. So, I don't know. I mean, like, I feel unless we're building towards Sasha and Naomi coming back, unless this is building to Bianca being on her own, and this is how we bring back Sasha and Naomi, that would at least then have a good outcome. But someone asked me, who do you want to join up with the OC to take down Rhea and Judgment Day? And my answer was Asuka. I want Asuka. But people were saying, it can't be Asuka because she's in a feud with Damage Control. My counter to that would be, we don't know that that's true because she got injured and taken out of action when she comes back, whenever that is. We don't know that she's coming back and going after Damage Control. She might not necessarily do that because what we might be building towards is that Bianca is actually going to face Damage Control with Sasha and Naomi. That would mean that Asuka, Alexa, Candice, they're, free to go and do other things, basically. Bianca doesn't necessarily need them because she's got Sasha and Naomi. So that would allow Asuka to come back and maybe pursue the Judgment Day story instead. But as we said, we don't know when she's coming back. We don't know if that's going to play out that way. I mean, there's every chance that Candice and Asuka and Alexa and Bianca all join forces, and that could be one of the teams for Survivor Series, and then Damage Control just need to pick someone for their side. And I don't know that that'll be anyone that exciting, to be honest. I feel like it'll probably just be a heel that's on the roster. I don't know that there'll be like a call-up from NXT or anything like that. So, don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. There's a few ways that story can go. Jeremy said, the Elite don't increase the viewership. When Kenny came back, the Elite matches and segments lost viewership. Jim said, I could see Raquel turning heel and joining Damage Control. After losing last Friday, she didn't look happy. Roadman said, is MJF turning face? Yeah, this is a big question, actually, because we were talking about last week's MJF segment. And my thoughts on it were that it was captivating. It was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. People were saying it was like one of the best segments of the year. It was one of the best promos they'd ever seen. Like, there was a lot of praise. The only reason why I wouldn't be going to those lengths and wouldn't be joining in with that is because, and I said this on Just Nick's interview, the promos have to have a purpose. Like, when you do a promo, like, it's very rare that you'll do a promo just to kill time and you won't actually ever say anything, right? Every promo should be to achieve something. Now, most of the time, it's to build up a match. Most of the time, what you do a promo is, me, you, Dallas Coliseum, this Saturday, it's going to go down, 7:30, like, you build up the match. Paul Heyman's excellent at that, for example. My takeaway from last week's promo was that I really felt like MJF was being presented as a babyface. Like, I think people had sympathy for him, that he tried out for WWE and then got a real shirty email from William Regal. I believe this happened as well, by the way. I don't think this was a made-up story. I think this was real. And I understand that William Regal responded by saying, you've had it easy. If an email is going to upset you, then you would never have coped back in the day, because I had to start wrestling in the carnivals when I was 15, 16, right? But the argument is, well, that was back in the day. You know what I mean? That was back in the day. Like, you wouldn't get away with doing that now. And the world has moved on. And sending shirty emails to 19-year-olds that are just trying to chase a dream, I don't think that flies in 2022, to be honest. I mean, at the end of that segment, my thoughts were William Regal's a bit of a douche, to be honest. William Regal was a bit of a douche because you've got a kid there who is trying to break into the business. You've extended a hand of friendship out by saying, send me a match, send me a promo. He did it month 1. He did it month 2. He went to do it month 3, and then he gets a shirty email from William Regal that was really off. It was really off. MJF had done nothing wrong, and he gets this shirty email. And the problem is, like, that could really have affected MJF. We might never have got MJF. What if MJF had got that email and took it personal and not stuck with it and decided that, you know, if this is how the business was, then maybe, you know, that it's just not the business for him. And what if he had moved on to something else and we never got MJF? You know, how many MJFs did we not get because they were sent emails like that? How many great talents have we missed out on because they were sent emails like that? And I understand you can go, well, then they're not going to make it in the wrestling business, but that's rubbish, isn't it? That's rubbish. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's true. I don't think you can say that if someone's going to get like that disheartened by an email, that they're not going to make it in the wrestling business. I don't agree with that. So for me, at the end of that promo, I actually had sympathy for MJF, and I thought that William Regal's comeback, I mean, it got a little bit back for him, but I still thought he was a bit of a douche, to be honest. I still thought he was off. I still didn't respect why he sent that email. So everyone was praising it, but I mean, like, it was captivating. It was brilliant. It was. The delivery was fantastic, but was that what they were trying to achieve? Is that what they were trying for? Were they trying to get me to resent William Regal a little bit and like MJF a little bit? Because if it was, they nailed it. They did a great job, because that's exactly what they achieved with me. And then, as I said, later in the show, it was very interesting because he didn't cash in on a vulnerable Moxley. So now it has genuinely left me thinking that there is a chance that we are looking at a face MJF. And I don't know. I don't know. That doesn't feel like the right way forward, because MJF is so good at being a heel. I mean, MJF's strength is to come out and talk with confidence and then just take little shots at people, you know, little digs at people. He's so good at that. But you can't do that when you're a face. Like, you can't come out and, like, do that when you're a face, because you're going to come across as a right douche, really. It's difficult. It's really, really difficult. I mean, of course you can if you're provoked. If someone's going to come out and say stuff to MJF, then MJF as a face would be able to respond. But he's not going to be able to start the fire like he can now as a heel. They've said that, you know, people have always said that you have way more fun as a heel. You can push things further, get away with more, say, like, you know, moodier things, and just go a bit further than you could if you're a face. And MJF is just such a great heel. I don't know that I agree with turning him face. So I don't know is the answer. I really don't know. Because to answer your question of, is he turning face? The only thing I can tell you is that I felt that there were steps taken in that direction last week. Yes, I definitely felt that. But whether that was their intention, we'll find out tonight, won't we? It'll be very interesting. Knowing MJF, this could all just be a big swerve anyway. But it still doesn't really escape that promo. That promo still felt like, you know, it's not going to restore how I feel about William Regal. I still think he's a bit of a douche for sending that email. So it won't really change that if this is a swerve. The one thing I think I said to Just Nick on that interview was he might have got into the ring and he might have looked at Moxley and he might have thought to himself, oh, you're not as weak as I would like you to be, actually. I wish you was a bit more beaten. If you was a bit more beaten down, I would cash this in right now. But he wasn't. He was standing. He was cognitive, and, you know, he seemed to have everything, all his wits about him. So maybe MJF looked at it and thought, I'm not going to beat you in this condition. I'll, and got out of it, but saved face by saying, I'll cash in next time. When you're better, I'll cash in. Maybe that was part of his thinking. Don't know. It's very interesting. And that is definitely one of the big segments I'm looking for tonight is the MJF segment, unsurprisingly. Just to get more of a feel as to which direction we're going in. Mitchell said, I tried to stay neutral, but the more repeats have come out, the more Punk's side has been proven wrong. It seems like the Elite brought the head of legal team to talk to Punk, and Punk escalated it. What are you referring? When did they do that, Mitchell? When did they bring the head of legal? When did the head of legal actually? When was this? Was this after the media scrum? Like, was the head of legal there when they walked into the locker room? Was head of legal like part of that? I actually don't know where the head of legal fits into this. Was the head of legal after the altercation? Did they try and do it before? I mean, I blame them all. I can't escape the fact that I blame them. I blame all of them for it. Where if you want to dish more blame onto CM Punk, then I could understand that. But actually, I don't know when the head of legal was involved. Exposing said, don't trust the devil. The head of legal went in with them to the locker room, is what was reported, says Trini. Okay. I mean, look, without being there, it doesn't change anything. Without being there and knowing exactly what was said, because if I put myself in CM Punk's shoes, who, let's just remember, I am blaming for this as well, right? So I'm not being a Punk defendist, but I am going to say, if I'm CM Punk, I've just come out with those comments, my social media's blowing up, my phone's blowing up, the adrenaline's pumping, right? What I want to do now is go away, maybe collect my thoughts and just get myself into a bit of a better headspace, right? Because, as I said, adrenaline's pumping, phone's blowing up, social media's blowing up. I've done something, right? I've just done something that the world is talking about. I don't think in that moment he is going to be cool, calm, collected. I could be wrong. I can only tell you how I would be. And if I had done what Punk had done, I would not be cool, calm, and collected because I've just done something. My phone's blowing up. Social media's blowing up. The world is talking about me. And I need to think about my next steps very carefully. Like, I might need to get in touch with my legal teams as well because I don't know what the repercussions are going to be after what's just been said. So if he is in that mindset and is in his locker room and they come into his locker room, now, if he turned around and went, no, I'm not doing this now, get out, right? It doesn't matter if the head of legal's there or not. If he says, no, I need space, get out, and they're shouting at him and they're not getting out and they're, why have you done this? Can't believe you've done this. Do you know what you've just caused? Blah, 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 blah. Get out, right? If that is not being dealt with, if they're not leaving, right? Because he didn't seek them out. He was in his locker room. They came to him. So if they're not giving him space, that is a very tense situation. A very tense situation. Because I'm just putting myself in the mindset of what CM Punk, potentially was like in that moment. What I would have been like in that moment. And what I would have been like in that moment is get out, basically. Because I already know I've said a load of stuff that's going to come back. I do not need to be saying anything else now in front of the head of legal and, whatever's about to happen. And there's, 3 of them, 1 of me. I don't know that there was anyone else in there apart from Ace Steel's wife. So how did that go? How did that go? Did he tell them to leave? Did they not leave immediately? They clearly didn't leave because if they had have left, there could have not been an altercation. There wouldn't have been an altercation. So I don't know if they burst in, startled him, he smacked one of them. I don't know if Ace Steel was around, and Ace Steel was the one that started it. So it's very difficult without the details. But I stand by the fact that in that moment, CM Punk is not going to be in a good headspace. And so trying to deal with it there and then, you could invite him to a room to have a conversation, right? And he might have declined, and that's fine. You set up another meeting for another time. But I think trying to deal with it there and then was always going to be touchy, right? Is a word that I could use. It was always going to be potentially explosive, potentially fireworks, potentially an altercation. So I don't know. I just don't think they dealt with it. I don't think even if you did take the head of legal in with you, I don't think that there and then was the right time. I really, really don't. And again, it's easy to say that in retrospect, isn't it? It's easy to say that in retrospect. But yeah. If I put myself in Kenny's shoes, I can totally understand wanting to get it sorted. I can totally understand not wanting CM Punk to leave without having a conversation with him. So this is what I'm saying. It might not have been like malice. It might not have been they barged in and, do you know what I mean? It might not have been anything like that. It might have been that, they grabbed head of legal, we need to get this sorted. Goes in, CM Punk's not in a great frame of mind. Only took someone saying the wrong thing, or them not leaving, or Ace Steel arriving and worrying for his wife, for the whole thing to go. But this is what you have to deal with backstage, isn't it? These kind of little moments, these little, it's crazy how it just built and built and built and built, and no one at any point seemingly was able to de-escalate it. In order for it to get to this stage, there will have been a lot that went on before. So, there's loads of things that we don't even know about that it could have been de-escalated before it even reached this level. What we're talking about is the straw that broke the camel's back, let alone all the stuff that happened in the build up to this. So, yeah, it's crazy. Crazy. Mitchell said, I've DM'd you 2 articles about who the Elite brought. Don't really want to be reading articles, to be honest. But I will. Sports Keeda. Potential details emerge on major backstage figure company and suspended stars. The Young Bucks are reported to have brought Senior Vice President, Chief Legal Officer, Mega, whatever her name is. It's been the story of pro wrestling recently. CM Punk shot hard on the Bucks' Kenny Omega. Shortly after, the new world champion engaged in a physical altercation with Omega and the Bucks. All involved in the altercation have been suspended. It's known that the chief legal officer, Mega, was not only a witness, but came to the room with the Bucks. Likely with the idea with her there, it would keep things professional. Obviously, that didn't happen. During this, Young Bucks sent feelers to gauge interest in WWE. That was proven to be false. They were said to have asked potential interest in their services. Okay, so that one just says about Mega being there, which I feel we've just spoken about. And this one is PW Mania. Here are some backstage notes. Mega was present for a portion of it. Mega was seen engaging in conversation with the Bucks shortly before they approached the locker room, and was seen leaving the room with CM Punk's dog, taking him to safety. Christopher Daniels, manager of talent relations, was with the Elite when they entered. Oh, great. So Christopher Daniels was there as well. AEW's internal investigation into CM Punk Elite locker room is being led by Chris Peck. AEW wrestlers and personnel involved with or witness are being interviewed. Yeah, I mean, look, that doesn't tell me anything, if I'm being honest, buds. All that tells me is that she was there, which I never disbelieved you. So she was there, and what I have just learned is Christopher Daniels was there as well. So let's just go back to what I just said about how CM Punk has just said something that the world is talking about, right? His phone's blowing up. It must have been, yeah? Social media was going crazy. How would his phone not be blowing up, right? So his phone's going crazy. Social media's going crazy. He knows that he's done something. He knows he's done something big. He knows he's done something public. And so in that moment, that's not a great moment to be trying to have a confrontation with him, because I don't think he's in a great headspace. I think that he is thinking about, I might need to get legal representation. Where do I go from here? Like, I need to be careful with what I say next. And so they've walked in. I honestly thought it was Kenny and the Bucks and that was it. But now we're finding out that Mega was there and Christopher Daniels was there as well. So all of a sudden now, a spew of people have come into his locker room and he's standing there like, I can only imagine, telling them to leave. Right? What's actually sparked the first shot being thrown and all this kind of stuff, I don't know. But in that moment, with him just moments after that media scrum, that just does not feel like the right time. That does not feel like the right time to be having that confrontation. I think what you do is you invite him to a meeting and you try and get it out in the open and tape record it maybe and ask if he wants legal representation, and you do it professionally and properly. Do you know what that was? That was the boys trying to deal with this in a way that the boys would deal with it. The way the boys deal with it is to, right, let's go. Let's get this sorted face to face, right? That's not necessarily how management deal with it. And so, like, how management would deal with it is that you would be invited to a meeting, you would have legal representation at that meeting, and then that's where you would be able to get your side of the points across. It would be investigated and all this kind of stuff. The investigation into it should have been what he was invited to, right? This whole confrontation with Mega and Christopher Daniels and all that, completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. I don't know what they thought they were going to achieve. I haven't got a clue what they thought they were going to achieve. They've walked into his locker room when he's not in a great headspace, moments after what he's just said. They've brought a truckload of people by the sounds of it. And what do you expect? Like, of course there's a backstage altercation. Of course there's a backstage altercation. Emotions are running high. Just really, honestly, I cannot defend Kenny and the Bucks and the Elite in that moment, because that's when the investigation should have been started. They shouldn't have gone to his locker room. They should have spoke to Tony Khan, said, we need to do an investigation into this, and the investigation should have started. And part of that investigation would have been inviting CM Punk to come along and have his say as part of that investigation. What they thought they were going to achieve by going to his locker room, only they can answer that. What they have managed to achieve is a big brawl and CM Punk now potentially leaving AEW, which they might be over the moon with. I have no idea. That might be something that they were hoping to achieve, but I don't think that's in the benefit of AEW. I really think that they've made a misstep there. On, let's go to Fight TV. Right, let's go to some thoughts. Moldy said the Regal email was tactical. He knew MJF was the type of person to come back for more and not quit. Undertaker also got told by Ole Anderson no one would pay to see him at the age of 20. Yeah, it's a real stupid thing that William Regal did, because, as I said, he might have thought it's tactical, but he is not going to know, because there's no way of knowing how MJF and 19-year-olds, who I believe he said he was 19 at that time, there's no way of knowing how he would have responded. William Regal is a big, big name in the industry. If you get to the point where you are being interviewed by William Regal and you seemingly impress William Regal and you think you've got a foot in the door, you think you've got a way forwards, and you send in matches, you send in promos, and you think that you've got a way forward, basically, it's going to happen for me. And then that is all snatched away. That's a big hit to a 19-year-old. That's a big, big hit. And what you don't actually know is you don't know if that's not a door that's permanently closed. I mean, if you're MJF, the ultimate dream has got to be to get to WWE. So I would think the one thing you desperately don't want to be doing is upsetting or annoying someone at WWE. If you want to be a wrestler, you don't want to upset or annoy anyone at WWE. If you want to be a basketball player, you don't want to be upsetting or annoying anyone that's in the NBA, do you? If you want to become a football star, you don't want to be upsetting or annoying people that are connected with teams in the NFL. So I've got to think that for a 19-year-old, and that's young. I can remember what I was like when I was 19. And a knock like that is huge. A knock like that is huge. And to say that it happened to The Undertaker back in 1990, it's a different world now. It's a different world. I know it's like 25 years or whatever. It might not seem that long. But this is a different world. This is a different world. This is not the same world as back then. Thankfully, not the same world as back then, because look at women's wrestling back then. Look at what women have had to go through to get to where we are with women's wrestling. So, that was how the business was. The business was that way. But that's the old times. That's like, in my mind, not acceptable in the modern world. That is not the kind of thing that you should be doing. I would be horrified if that kind of thing was still happening now. I'd be horrified. I'd also be shocked if it was happening now, because seemingly companies are just bringing in any athletes, do you know what I mean? Let alone ones that actually want to be wrestlers, ones that dream of being wrestlers. We're bringing in sports stars now, people that, I'll give that a go. That's the kind of people we seem to be bringing in now. We seem to be bringing in NBA stars that haven't quite made it to the NBA, or basketball stars that haven't made it to the NBA, or football stars that haven't made it to the NFL. And we're like, oh, you're big. Do you fancy giving this a go? Yeah, all right then. I can't imagine we're sending them shirty emails, because if we send them shirty emails, they ain't coming back, because they don't even necessarily want it in the first place. They wanted to pursue other things, and this is just a means to an end for some of them. I do think once they're in, they learn it and they start to love it and they start to get it. But, that's a bit of the problem with this Neil thing. A lot of these athletes that we're seeing now, they don't grow up dreaming of being wrestlers. They grow up dreaming being basketball players or football players. But we have to convert them because that door closes for them. So we get them instead, which I'm not down on. I'm not saying that that's a problem. I'm just explaining that I don't think you can send those shirty emails in 2022, because a lot of the people you deal with now would walk. They would walk. It's as simple as that. They would walk. So if you do find a talent like MJF, who's as skilled as MJF, you would imagine that companies would want to do whatever they could to get that talent. I mean, apparently the only reason, just listening to that promo, the only reason why they never took him there and then was because of his age. So they asked him, how old are you? He said 19. And he was like, well, I can't take you. Employment laws, you've got to be 21 or something at the time, or whatever it was. And so he couldn't take him. Had he have been slightly older, we might not have even gone down those paths. We might not even have gone down those roads of having to send shirty emails. So I don't buy it. I'm not a fan of it. I lost respect for William Regal after that. Not loads. It's not like I hate him now. I just think that that's a very old school thing to do. It's a very old school thing to do. And I just think that it's not really fitting in the modern world for me personally. I'm sure there's people out there that heard William Regal say why he did it, and people probably went, yeah, fair play. Let's test him. Let's see if he really wants it. My counter argument is people that really want it are sadly in the minority in this modern world now. And so if you find someone that really wants it, who's got the skills of MJF, I think the last thing we should be doing is potentially driving them out of wrestling. Imagine if MJF had gone. Imagine if MJF had thought, I've blown it. That was my one shot to get into WWE. That was my one shot, and I've blown it. And who knows what other opportunities could have come up for him. Life is about opportunities. Someone else could have fallen in his lap. He could have thought that WWE door was closed. There was no AEW. The only way that he's going to be making money now is to go and do indie shows, which don't pay brilliant. And so what if something else in that moment came along that was going to pay better than indie shows and it took him out of wrestling and you never then got MJF? So it's old school. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it. This whole testing people rubbish. It's just rubbish. Do you know what it is? It's because wrestlers, like old school wrestlers, had it hard. And so they want to make sure that people now have it hard. And that's what it is, basically. So it's a hangover from that. Right, let's go to Dynamite. Go to Dynamite and see what we've got. You're insinuating the Elite shouldn't be charged because Punk assaulted them, said Jeremy. What crime did the Elite commit? Says Kyle. What crime did the Elite commit? Well, we don't know who started. I don't know who started the altercation, so potentially assault. But I don't know who threw the first punch. It might have been Ace Steel, hence why he was fired. So that could have been as to why he went. But I don't think they, if they didn't throw the first punch, I don't know that there's potentially a crime. But crime's maybe not the right words. But I think you could definitely question their business acumen. I think you malpractice. I think the way that they dealt with that situation was wrong. And I think if you was to be in a company and that's how you dealt with that situation was reviewed, I would be very interested to know how HR department would deal with that. It's hard to know like how clean this is being dealt with, because I sort of feel like someone's got to take the fall for this, right? And if it's going to be CM Punk, then seemingly the Elite are going to be let off the hook, right? And I don't think there'll be much in the way of a punishment. And you could argue they've already served the punishment. They've already been suspended for how long, you know? So you could argue that they've already been punished. But yeah, if you was to do what they had done in like Walmart, say a manager did the exact same thing in like a Walmart or something like that, be very interesting to know what the Walmart HR department would do. Either way, I think the way forward here is that we're going to see CM Punk leave. I think CM Punk's going to go. I think the Elite will return, and then we just move on, to be honest. I think that's what we're going to see in regards to AEW. Right, I thought there was going to be a promo there, but there's not. We've just had Jericho Appreciation Society come down. And so what we look like we're going to be getting is Jericho and Garcia versus Claudio and Wheeler. So Blackpool Combat Club against Jericho Appreciation Society. Anthony, shout out to you. Eric said, what do you think about Matt Hardy maybe bringing back the broken Matt Hardy character? God, not crazy about it, to be honest. I never watched, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I never watched him when he was in Impact, but there was a buzz around what he was doing and the broken character and the deletion films and everything. And I remember being excited for when they came back to WWE, and I remember wanting to see Broken Matt. I thought that there was something there. There was a lot of buzz, and I wanted to see what it was like. But when we actually got it, it just felt it didn't work. We got like a final deletion thing, which was, I think, Bray and Matt Hardy in like some deletion sort of match. It was a few segments on a Raw, and it had its moments. I will definitely say that. It had its moments. But there was lots of kind of weirdness to it, but not weirdness in a cryptic, cool sort of, like how Bray has got like real depth to his characters and backstories, and it ties into things like Dante's Inferno, and it's not just someone with a wacky name. There's backstories to everything, and things connect, and there's Easter eggs, and it didn't have any of that for me. I mean, maybe it does. Maybe someone that's really into the broken Matt universe can tell me about how things all connect or whatever. But in my eyes, it just was a bit shallow, and I wasn't into it. When we actually got it, I just wasn't into it. And then when he brought it into AEW and he was teleporting around the arena, right, which they never did again. And then he changed clothes in the ice bucket thing. And then he changed clothes underwater and all this kind of stuff. I mean, no. So if we're going to do it where it maybe is presented a bit different, then I could be into it. Because I think it is a character that is probably the most engaging that Matt does. It's certainly better than Big Money Matt. So, I can see there being value to it. But I think the presentation needs to be tweaked. I think Bray shows kind of how you should do it. QR codes, involve the fans, have the fans doing some investigation work, like have a bit of mystery to it, have some backstories to it. Don't make it like silly at times. Like the changing clothes underwater was just silly. If you've got that kind of a superpower, the ability to change clothes underwater, it's a bit of a silly superpower, isn't it? You haven't got the superpower to actually help win you the match, but you've got a superpower that's going to let you change clothes. It's just a bit silly, isn't it? Of all the superpowers to have, eh? I mean, brilliant if he was going to be a model during Fashion Week. If he was going to do modeling where he could like walk down a catwalk with one outfit, do a little spin, and then he's got a whole different outfit, he would take the modeling world by storm. But it's not going to help you a great deal in the wrestling world, is it? It's not going to help you a great deal at all. Kind of like trying to be a fireman and you've got a superpower, but your superpower isn't putting fires out or spraying water or anything like that, or making it rain or anything that's going to help. Your superpower is starting fires. You're a fireman and your superpower is you can start fires. It's just not, it just doesn't work, does it? Right, we are underway with this. Will MJF be face or will Regal turn heel? Do you think Tony is looking at Stokely and the firm as having second thoughts? Does Regal becomes MJF's manager? I did wonder that. They're two great talkers. I did wonder that. When he came down to the ring, Regal came down as well because Moxley is obviously part of Blackpool Combat Club. So Moxley was in the ring. MJF came down. I can't remember if Regal was already down or if Regal had come down at the same time. But because of the promo that was earlier, I did wonder if he was about to cash it in and Regal was going to applaud. Because Regal had said, show me something that I should be impressed with. And it felt like the table was set for MJF to show Regal something Regal would be impressed with. And I did wonder that. Good shout. I can't say it's going that way. I'm really interested. I'm really interested to know where this is going. So we'll see the MJF promo later, and we'll see as to where it's leading. Face first, Claudio going into the table. Still to come tonight, MJF. We've also got Bryan Danielson against Sammy Guevara, which could be a good match. Riho against Jamie Hayter, which could be fun. I like Jamie Hayter. And we've also got Moxley against Penta. That is for the AEW World Championship. So an AEW World Championship match. And again, he could cash in that chip. I will admit, I didn't know how that worked. I was asked, how does this work? And I didn't know. I don't remember anyone ever cashing it in before that way. But seemingly you can do that. And so there's maybe a chance that MJF again gets an opportunity to cash in his, Casino Battle Royal chip, is it? We might have a chance to do that later tonight. Don't forget, Broken Matt debuted mid-pandemic, no crowds. Same as Brody. Broken gimmick does not work well without a crowd, says James. Yeah, good point. Good point. I don't know if maybe they just took it a bit too far, what with their like not being a crowd. I think the wrestling world sort of lost its mind a little bit during the lockdown because I think they had this newfound freedom. There is a freedom that you don't normally get when you have to perform in front of a live audience. When you have to perform in front of a live crowd, you're very limited with, live theatre, basically. And obviously, live theatre is going to have its limitations. And so, they all of a sudden found themselves in a situation, the wrestling world found itself in a situation which, dare I say, they had never been in before. Which meant they could do pre-records and they could do video editing and they had this whole world of options which had never been there. So part of me is like, I can't say like that I blame them for trying stuff. It didn't work for me. Let's put it that way. I'll tell you one thing that did work though. Do you remember the greatest wrestling match, which was Edge against Randy Orton? That was interesting because that was, an actual wrestling match, nothing supernatural or anything like that. It was a wrestling match that had been edited. So I don't know if they took out bad moments. They certainly did re-records of things. I think there's one moment where Edge goes up top and the camera is right underneath as he comes kind of crashing down. And obviously when the camera cuts, there's not a cameraman in the ring. So they must have recorded him being up top and like doing that move and then edited it in. And there was another part as well where Samoa Joe, I think, was on commentary and he was talking and you could see in the background, Samoa Joe just sat looking at a monitor. He wasn't talking, but the commentators were talking and Samoa Joe was talking. So I know there was at least different camera angles that were added after and commentary was added after and was not done live there and then. So I know like for a fact that match was edited. But it was great, wasn't it? I mean, it was so good. It was so good. Edge against Randy Orton is such a great match. Really, I mean, I think it was 2020. It was certainly in the Performance Center. It's brilliant. It's really, really good. I remember joking about like they were calling it the greatest wrestling match ever. And we were like, how can they call it that when it's not even happened? And then I remember it happening and people were like, is that the greatest wrestling match ever? And people were really like, oh, God, they've done it. It obviously doesn't really count, though, because of the amount of editing that was involved. But it is true. With no fans, there was lots that was tried. And that was very good. That was very good. Right, Claudio with Wheeler Yuta, DDT to Jericho. Claudio going for the pin on Jericho, but only getting a 2. Brenton said, underrated AEW talent. I think the Dark Order's terrible and joke group, but I do think John Silver is talented and charismatic. Crowd seems to be behind him. Codebreaker by Jericho. Underrated AEW talents. I'll throw that out to people and see what people come back with. I've got a couple of names, but let's see what people come up with. If no one mentions one of my names that I've got, then I'll put them out there. Willie Yuta goes against the ropes. Who do you think's an underrated talent? I think that's hard because, to be honest, I don't know how underrated John Silver is, for example. Like, I think people really like John Silver. Underutilized might be a better way of wording it. I think people like, I rate John Silver. I think he's really good. Definitely underutilized. So, yeah, underrated, underutilized. Who you got? Right. Claudio is going to do the swing on Jericho, and he's going to do it with Garcia on his shoulders. So Jericho is being swung around with Garcia on his shoulders. He drops Jericho. He drops Garcia. Beast, he's ripped to shreds, isn't he? Claudio with a big boot. Hager goes down. Real Americans going at it. Comes crashing down. Clothesline. Down goes Daddy Magic. Stomp onto Garcia. Parker gets an uppercut. Claudio unloading. Jericho on his feet. Claudio going up top. Bit weird. He sort of came down with a chop, but he didn't. He ended up turning it into an uppercut. He knocks Jericho against the ropes. 2, 3. And he gets the pin and the win. So Claudio gets the victory. That was a good end to that match, actually. I like that. So it's Blackpool Combat Club that pick up the victory here. I would have punched Bucks and Kenny if they hurt my dog, says Jeremy. Claudio is amazing, says AR1. I'm glad he's getting his shine. Brent said, I avoided using underutilized. When you say underutilized, that could include Claudio, FTR, Starks, and Hobbs, etc. Fair enough. Claudio wins. James said Ethan Page for him. Zach said Jake Hager. Athena needs a women's belt, said Justin. Arash Mine said Danielson. Top rope uppercut is a bit illogical. It was weird. He kind of, I thought he was coming down to do a chop, but he didn't actually connect. And I don't know if he changed his mind. It would have felt maybe a bit better if he'd have double axe handled, but he didn't. He sort of came down with nothing, stood in front of him. So the jump was irrelevant. He kind of jumped, came down, stood in front of him, and then did like a European uppercut. But it was all right. I mean, it's not a problem. Nice energy to the end, though, as he was working his way around the outside. I'm going to take my frustration out on Sammy Guevara tonight. Do you see what we just did, Brian? What's happening here? Why are these two? What's happening here? These two getting in each other's faces. Claudio says stop. Here's Regal. Watch out, lads. You're going to get a shirty email in a minute. You don't want to upset William Regal. You'll get a shirty email. We're going to discuss this like adults. Okay. Oh. We're just seeing how it all started. We're seeing the Bucks. What's this? What's this? What's this? We're seeing the Elite being erased from moments. AEW, the E was eliminated. Cool, wasn't it? That was cool. That was cool. Yeah. What if they come back angry? What if they come back feeling like the show they helped create is seemingly now it was on the verge of running without them? And what if they come back angry? Could be very interesting. Not silly, not spraying stupid, whatever it is to cool the body down. Yeah. Angry that they were almost removed from their own company. That could be very interesting. We just saw a great video package where the Elite were standing there, key moments in their history, and they were being erased. And then we got the AEW logo and the E was erased. The Elite was taken out of the AEW logo. That was good. That was good. It's being replaced with A and Dub, the best branding Danhausen can bring to the table. Some people are crazy from Jon Moxley should get fired because of what happened to Hangman. Believing Randy is done with WWE is madness, said Brad. In school, I was nicknamed Sledgehammer. Ladies called me Sledge, says Sledge Sunny Larry. Sledge Larry. Brendan said, I've got a better idea. What if they don't come back at all and CM Punk does? That would be awesome. I don't think it's happening, though, is it? I think, as we've said, it seems like CM Punk's done and they're going to buy him out. And I certainly don't think that's a hint that, they're gone or anything like that. I think they're coming back. And I don't know, it just makes me think, what if they come back angry that they were... Is that them? Like now starting a return, kind of saying, we were being erased. We almost got erased. I'd be furious. I mean, you leave a wonderful, cushy job with New Japan, take a leap of faith to start a new company. Everything's rocking and rolling for a few years. And then, honestly, you find yourself in hot water to the point where you could be done. You might be out. I mean, I'm sure they could go back to New Japan. I'm sure those bridges aren't completely burnt. Certainly now that AEW's got a working relationship with them again. I'd have to think that probably some of the tension is... Because they didn't leave on great terms. But I would imagine it's probably a way forward for them if things had gone south. But I could understand them being upset that things, got as extreme as what they did. We're back from commercial break. Oh, yeah, we are now. I was going to say, I've just got a black screen, but we are back. Right, we've got Jericho Appreciation Society. Ernesto said they will come back with the Target sponsorship as the Elite managers. Can you believe? Can you believe that someone like Claudio Castagnoli would accept victory when there was a baseball bat in the ring? He said he's going to beat all of the champions, even the women's champions. Any former Ring of Honor champion can come and face the Ojo. That would be great. I'd love to see Nigel McGuinness. Nigel McGuinness said that oh man, if they get Nigel McGuinness, that would be so good. He said, I saw a tweet where he said that he wasn't done. Nigel McGuinness. This was ages ago, years ago. Apparently his injuries are not keeping him out of the ring. Nigel McGuinness is one of the most famous, one of the most longest reigning Ring of Honor champions. I would love, love, love to see Nigel McGuinness get another match. I'd love that. Here's Swerve In Our Glory then. Man United Hodge. Shout out to you, dudes. Days, imagine they all come back together. Punk, Omega, Bucks, and they become a faction. Damn, that'd be... You want to grab attention, that would do it. That would do it. Imagine that. That would be insane. Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome because, no one would expect it. And what a faction that would be. And they could be this massive monster heel team. That'd be brilliant. That would be brilliant. Game changing, as people always put on Twitter, and then AEW botches. Have you seen those AEW botches videos where people are game changing? But that would be game changing. Game changing. Young Bucks and Kenny come back after that commercial they just showed, said Isaac. Swerve and Keith Lee matching gear just in time for their breakup. Look at the charisma Swerve has. That's what's missing big time with Hit Row. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. Oh, God. Cringe. Maybe Adam Cole Bay returns to face Jericho. Yeah, maybe. Did you hear about Ciampa? Someone sent me a thing saying he's out for like 9 months or something. Right, we've got the Ring of Honor Tag Champs, the IWGP Tag Champs, the AAA Tag Champs. At the moment, they're going to be at Wrestle Kingdom, aren't they? At the moment, Wrestle Kingdom's going to have, I would think, quite a nice smattering of AEW talent there. So there we go. FTR holding up their championships, the Living Legends. The Acclaimed are coming out. Yo, now listen. Lots of scissors in the crowd. Oh, the scissoring with the chairs. So the Acclaimed, they're not doing yo-yo, now listen. I saw the retweet. I didn't know that till then. No, neither did I. Halloween on Monday, said Adam. Scissor in the chairs, I see. Kevin said, I would seriously enjoy analysing some of the data for wrestling injuries today compared by decade. Feel like there's a lot more. Maybe that's because information is just more widespread, ? Could be a degree of that. I mean, it could be as well that certainly with something like AEW, I think they take bigger risks. You know, I think they're doing more in matches, basically. There's more spots, isn't there, in matches? There's more bigger moves. You know, back in the day, it would have been clotheslines, drop kicks, headlocks, fairly standard stuff. And then you would have wrapped it up with, a big move. Now it's just, big move, big move, big move. There's a lot more of it. They're a lot riskier. The timing obviously has got to be perfect on those spots. And I've got to think that there probably is a chance that there's an increase in injuries as a result of that. I wouldn't know what the percentage is, to be honest. I really wouldn't know. And I do agree. Everything is more widespread these days. We certainly know about things a lot more. The other thing I would say, though, is that I think the current wrestlers train a lot more. I feel like physiques are obviously in quite a good place compared to where we have been in the past. And I think that, nutrition and things like that, I think people understand, that side of things a lot more. So maybe current wrestlers have kind of got a bit more knowledge as to how to look after their bodies a bit better than in the past. But I still think there's a lot of injuries, yeah. Thoughts on a recent surge in NXT viewership when we fell out of enjoyment from NXT? The ratings reflected at 550, low 600. Now we're seeing 700,000. I think, to be honest, NXT 2.0, I watched it. I wasn't enjoying it. And I think that people saw it as Vince's NXT. And I think that, Raw is something that is just so ingrained in people's minds that you can get away with doing silly stuff on Raw. Because first of all, it's 3 hours and there's bound to be something on that show that's going to appeal to people. And it's got star power, right? I mean, you have to tune into Raw to see the likes of Seth or Cody or whoever, right? So it's got star power. It's going to have something for you. And it's Raw. It's been going since 1993. Everyone's got a relationship with Raw. We know the good times. We know the bad times. When it comes to NXT, it's just not the same, is it? It's not been around as long. It's not got the star power. And I think that if you're going to watch it and not get much from it and feel like it's just a reflection of what Vince wants, I think, yeah, people were like, I can drop this. This is droppable. Raw is not really droppable. SmackDown's not really droppable because they are, pushing stories along all the time. And The Rock could always show up on Raw. He could always show up on SmackDown. Hogan, Stone Cold, anyone, anything can happen with Raw and SmackDown. It's not that way with NXT. You're not going to be getting The Rock showing up in NXT anytime soon, unless he comes to see his daughter. But yeah, I think that it wasn't in a great place. I think it's debatable, to be honest. I think some people were enjoying it, but yeah, it wasn't in a great place. The show yesterday I thought was brilliant. I thought the show yesterday was absolutely brilliant. I would actually put that as one of my favorite shows of the year. I really would. I'd put it up there with like an episode of AEW Dynamite or Raw or SmackDown. Like, we've had some, I'm not saying it's the best. I'm just saying that if we was to, I think, go back and look at all the ratings for the shows of the year, I think that the one we got yesterday would stand a chance at being in the top 10, top 20, certainly. Out of all the shows we watch, we watch 4 shows a week. So that's over 200 shows a year. So I have to think that for it to be in the top 10%, maybe even higher than that, shows just how good of an episode it was. And I thought they did a great job. And they're leaning, they've changed the logo. That seemed to bother people. The booking is, I feel like the booking is a little different, but it's still got a few flaws. I was not blown away by Halloween Havoc, but yesterday's episode I thought was excellent. The women's tag match was brilliant. The men's tag match was really enjoyable. Main event was fantastic. We got some great wrestling yesterday, and The Rock's daughter, which was really a big historic moment. So yeah, very good. Very, very good. They're giving you great matches and big talking points now. R-Truth, just R-Truth being there was so much fun. And it's just week after week. You never know who's going to turn up. Obviously, last week we had loads of main roster stars. I don't think that's going to stop. Triple H has got, obviously, a bond with NXT that will never be broken. And he can tell people to go wherever he wants. Do you know what I mean? So he's in charge of content. So if he wants to use some main roster stars to, give NXT a bit of a boost, then he can do that. And he can do that on a regular basis. Next week we've got R-Truth again. He's having a match with Grayson Waller. But I'll bet you anything the week after that we get someone else. So yeah, you just don't know who's going to rock up there now. Come on, FTR, said Legend Killer. CM Punk's a former Ring of Honor champ. Oh, wait, said Corey. I didn't even know The Rock had a daughter, said Luke. He's got a few kids, actually, yeah. But I never realized how long she'd been in NXT. She joined in early 2020, apparently. So she's been in there for 2 years, but she has had injuries. But that was a surprise. I did not think it would be her because when it comes to The Rock's daughter, you think that you think there's going to be a way to present her. I understand she wants to be her own person, and Ava Rain, I think, is a great name, actually. But putting her in with the schism, I don't know. It's just not how I would have done it. I was really surprised that that's the way they've gone. But look, it's how they're starting her. It's NXT as well. Who knows how long she'll be in there. Dax goes down, roll through. Dax with a chop to Swerve. We're half an hour into the show. Rock's got 4 kids, said Justin. Brenton said, should FTR win? I really hope they do. Second AEW tag title run is long overdue. I think you go Keith Lee and Swerve, actually. I agree that an FTR title run is long overdue, but the Acclaimed have only just really got the belts. So if they win this, are FTR ready to take the belt? Right now, the Acclaimed are red hot. Is now the right time for the Acclaimed to lose the titles? I mean, we're waiting for Swerve and Keith Lee to split up, aren't we? Everyone keeps thinking that's going to happen. So I'm thinking that maybe you have Swerve In Our Glory win this. Then they can go on to face the titles, lose, and then maybe they split. When FTR get there to fight for the titles, I've got to think they're going to win. And they definitely deserve to get a victory and hold those belts. But I just don't know if it's yet. That's an AEW botch for sure from Swerve. Coming up next is MJF. Larry said a report from Zero News alongside Ledge Killer Big E is scheduled to be a surprise in the Rumble event if he doesn't return sooner. Nice Snapdragon suplex to kick out by Swerve. Do you think AEW have got too many titles? I think there are too many belts around. Because I think what it can do is it can make the actual belts not stand out as much. Because you've got all these other company belts in there. I don't think they have too many titles. I think they show too many titles. I think AEW, the number of belts they've got is fine. It's just that we've got IWGP belts, Ring of Honor belts, FTW belts. Karu Shida's carrying some other company belt as well. Like, there's all these different company belts that are being shown. If you stripped all of them away, including Ring of Honor, right? Stripped all them away and only had AEW belts, I think that would be fine. I think that's fine. On the outside kick. It's debatable as to whether you need trios and tag belts. That's 1, 2, kick out by Cash. It's debatable whether you need that. It's debatable as to whether you need TNT and, or is it TBS? TBS? No, TNT and All Atlantic. It's debatable. But you know, in WWE, you have got United States and Intercontinental. So a couple of mid-card belts isn't the end. It's not the end of the world, is it? But I just think there's a lot of belts that don't need to be there that kind of take away the prestige of the AEW belts. It's like FTR are carrying 3 sets of belts. None of them are AEW belts. Against the ropes goes Swerve. Goes down. Looking for a powerbomb, is he? He's got Swerve up in the air. He bounced him off the ropes and... Oh, big powerbomb. Big powerbomb there by Dax. TBS doesn't work because they don't have enough females on the roster for 2 championships this COVID. Gene said they need more TV time if they want that many belts. Don't have tag teams as a part of trios, says Larry. James said, I told you it wouldn't be Isla Dawn with them teasing her on Twitter. Never get who they tease on Twitter. Yeah, that is true. That is true. The only thing I never saw those teases until you mentioned it. But you are right. As soon as it gets teased, then you do go, oh, it won't be them then. I think I just kind of got myself into the mindset of her being my favorite for it. But yeah, as soon as you said, then it probably was less likely then. As soon as it had been teased. Philly said, does AEW have a good storyline right now than just matches? Good point. What is their best storyline? I mean, I feel like it's probably whatever MJF is doing. I find him to be the most engaging. So, and I want to see what's next for him. That is true, actually. What is their best story right now? It's probably the CM Punk Elite one, isn't it? It is a story. It's just not one that they're writing. Keith Lee in the corner. If you had to buy out a person's contract and pay millions just so you don't have to see their face based on them shows how arrogant and how unwatchable CM Punk is. Oh, big splash. 1, 2. Oh, I thought that was it, man. Cash with a big splash onto Keith Lee, and he gets a 2 count. Matt Taven is a former Ring of Honor World Champion and just signed with AEW, says Blaze. Blaze, shout out to you. Hope you're well. Isla Dawn should be on NXT by now. There's no reason for her to be there. MJF's the best thing going on in AEW, said Akpofure. Akpofure? Is that how you say it? Keith there, trying to pick up Keith. Struggling. Swerve. Pulling Cash to the outside. Drop kick to the side of the head. Keith Lee picking up Dax, but Cash comes in. There's a super kick. It's quite good, this match. Oh! Wow, that's got to do it. FTR, 1, 2. Ah! Swerve pulls him out the ring, man. It's a really good match. It's a really good match because both teams could win it. I genuinely don't know which way this is going. Into the railing goes Cash. Swing and a miss. Keith Lee. Oh, nail Swerve. Roll up to Keith Lee. 2. Kick out by Keith Lee. Low blow. Low blow by Swerve. Low blow. Guns. Feels like could be the beginning of the end for FTR. 2, 3. I tell you what, it took the Gun Club on the outside and it took a low blow for Swerve In Our Glory to pick up the win. Here's Gun Club. So I'm guessing it's going to be FTR against the Guns going forward. Here's the Acclaimed. To be honest, Days only watches one show. Might be the reason he's not interested. Yeah, I just thought it was a really good match. I'm happy when Jon Moxley lost the World Heavyweight Championship against MJF because Jon Moxley, not Swerve, will be AEW World Champion. Right, well, Swerve In Our Glory, victorious. We're backstage with Renee and Saraya. We're here, we're in AEW. Here's Britt Baker. You don't know why I'm here. Renee's like, stop. Renee trying to cool things down, man. Renee trying to cool things down. Up next, Danielson, Sammy Guevara. Thought they said MJF was next. How's everything next? Everything's next. MJF's next. Danielson's next. Everything's next. Everything's next. You're next. I'm next. You're next. Who's running this show? Goldberg. Gene said the Guns should beat FTR with shenanigans to start building them as another team to contend. Crip Scream Queen said, wasn't Seth Rollins a former Ring of Honor champion? Do you know, I think he was. My Ring of Honor History of Champions is not brilliant because I never watched it. Ring of Honor Champions. I believe that Bryan Danielson, Nigel McGuinness, Jay Lethal, these are the sort of names I know. I know that Seth was in Ring of Honor. I think he was their world champion. Right, I found history. Belt design. Reigns. Here we go. Roman Reigns. So, 37. That 37 different reigns. 37 different reigns. Don't know how many different champions. 31. 31 different champions, 37 different reigns. Here is the list of former Ring of Honor champions. Jay Lethal, with a combined 707 days, has held the title the most. So Jay Lethal, this is in how long they held the belt for. Some of these have been 1 reigns or 2 reigns or 3 reigns in Adam Cole's case. But Jay Lethal, then Samoa Joe, then Roosh, then Nigel McGuinness, then Bryan Danielson, then Adam Cole, Austin Aries, Jay Briscoe, I didn't know that, Kevin Steen, Davey Richards, Takeshi Moshimura, Jonathan Gresham, Tyler Black, Tyler Black, na. Had 1 reign for 210 days. Dalton Castle, Roderick Strong, Xavier. I don't think that's Xavier Woods. I actually don't know who that is, but Xavier. Cody, Matt Taven, Bandido, Christopher Daniels, Eddie Edwards, PCO, Michael Elgin, Jerry Lynn, Claudio, Homicide, Loki, CM Punk, Chris Jericho, James Gibson, and Kyle O'Reilly. Here's MJF. MJ. Put MJ. It's not Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan. MJF. Xavier has passed away, says Blazed. I'm ashamed to say I don't know who that is, to be honest. MJF. MJF getting chants from the crowds. I got it from here, Renee. Big cheer for MJF. Certainly not being booed. Have we got any devil worshippers in the house tonight? Ravishing Renee? Jon Moxley is putting his AEW championship on the line against Penta. Can I borrow this? Takes the microphone. He does an impression of Moxley. So he's pacing around like Jon Moxley. Sure, yeah. It's also her partner, but whatever. MJF nailed it. He did a great job. Yeah, he did a great job. With all due respect, when I think of Jonathan, when I think of Moxley, I think of just one word, and that word is mid. Renee, with all due respect, shut your mouth. MJF, crowd cheer. Renee, with all due respect, shut your mouth. Things might have got out of control when I said I'd wrestle the whole match clean. I'm still MJF, but. It's when William Regal. William Regal told me he used his brass knuckles, not because he needed to, but because he wanted to. Moxley is mid, said Lone Star Friends. MJF always goes way too far. I promise. I will not use my Dynamite diamond ring. I don't need it. He's not gonna use his. I bet he does, but he says he's not. MJF is the savior, says Kevin. It's weird watching this version of MJF. Okay, so MJF is fired up here. When I become your new AEW champion of the world, Heather says, MJF won't use the ring. Raise your right hand if you believe that. Is this Stokely? You want Moxley 100%? MJF knocks the microphone out of Stokely Hathaway's hand. He takes Renee's. Perhaps you got a bit comfortable because you know me for a long time. So MJF said he wants Jon Moxley 110%. You don't lay a hand on him tonight, or you're fired. So MJF telling Stokely, don't lay a hand on Moxley. I want him 110%. Basically, so that Regal's got no excuse when he beats him. Looks like Renee's gone. Wasn't the whole point of the firm to ensure MJF wins the title, says Adam. Well, listen, what MJF says and what MJF does can be two very different things. So he's saying he's not going to use the ring. He says that he doesn't want the firm to help him. Whether any of that is true, I have no idea. Feel like the waters are very muddy at the moment. Purposefully so. Who are these? This is Mike Maria. Is gonna just use brass knucks instead, said Carl. Corbett said, it's hilarious that people keep falling for MJF pretending to be a good guy and doing things fair. Happens every time he cuts a promo. He's got people wrapped around his finger. Derek said, at least CM Punk put Wardlow over. Didn't Punk attend the symphony? At least CM Punk put Wardlow over. This group's passed me by. I don't know where Matt Taven and Maria and Mike have all come from. Here is Jericho Appreciation Site. We're 5 minutes from the halfway point. Regal is going to turn on Mox and help MJF. Tahil said, after MJF bests Mox, he will be the biggest heel described as a face. Mitchell said he's literally going to do everything he's saying he won't do. He's building up to be a face, only to win in the biggest heel way fashionable, and I will still cheer for him. Okay, here's Sammy. Sammy making his way down with Ty and there smooching. This should be pretty fun, actually. This is going to be Sammy against Danielson. Danielson versus Sammy Guevara. Boom. This will be the match that takes us from hour 1 into hour 2. The Kingdom just did a long stint in Impact, says Heather. The Kingdom have come from Impact. AR1 said MJF will replace Moxley or Danielson in the Blackpool Combat Club. James said Tavern, Bennett, Maria were in Impact, a part of Honor No More. Christian said, facts, he's gonna break every promise at Full Gear. Sammy is great in ring, but not as a person, said Mitchell. These two are annoying, says Scott. Kevin said, shame that MJF returned against CM Punk only for there to be no follow-through. Right, we're about to get underway. Danielson has made his way down. Danielson taking on Sammy Guevara. Danielson getting into a bit of heat earlier, a bit of a back and forth with Wheeler Yuta. Could that be teasing some splits within the Combat Club? A still tongue keeps a wise head. So William Regal not going to spill any beans. Knee strike to the side of the head there by Sammy. Chop coming in by Sammy. Danielson back in the corner. Big strikes coming in. Big chop there by Sammy. Big clubbing blow by Sammy as well. Over in the corner goes Danielson. Sammy, shoulder to the midsection. Enziguri kick to the back of the head. Sammy against Danielson. Good match. This would have been... Lovely stunner. Springboard stunner there by Sammy. Clubbing blow to the back there by Sammy. This match worries me. Sammy has proven himself to be unsafe, and Danielson cannot afford to make mistakes with his history of concussion. Sammy back in the corner. Gets out the way. Danielson charging over. Sammy jumps over. Backflip. Goes down. He's going to turn him over and looking for the ankle lock. He's got the legs. He's going for some kind of surfboard stretch. Surfboard stretch, maybe. He's going to look to pull back the face. He's got him in position for a surfboard. Yeah, he's going to go for it. Pulls back the arms. And now... over he goes. And there it is. Hope the Elite returns soon. I know people have got mixed feelings about the spot fests, but I like the matches. They are entertaining, said Christian. Heather said, come on, Danielson. Teach this punk Sammy a lesson. Serge said, I agree with the unsafe comments. YTJ, shout out to you, bud. Hope you are well. John said, MJF will start a faction called the Four Pillars with Yuta, who turns on Bryan, Guevara, who turns on Jericho, and Jungle Boy. And you need one more. Jungle Boy, Yuta, Sammy, and Darby. Where is Darby? Chop coming in. Sammy will be working as a guest commentator and interviewer for the next fight in Dubai. Let's go, Danielson, said Lone Star Friend. Corbett said the ratings don't matter when they're on entirely different nights. Big Time Baxter said, I always try to watch AEW. I really try, but there's something off with tonight's show. MJF promo was great, but outside of that, it's been a bit meh. I thought the tag match was very good, just. I thought that FTR and Swerve In Our Glory was really good. I enjoyed that. And I'm sure this is going to be good. There's some stuff here. I just don't think they've got much in the way of stories at the moment, or really stories that people are really caring about. Ratings always matter, says Adam. Kojiko said, fun fact, the word fun wasn't always fun. It stems from the 17th century English word funne, which means fool. This is where the phrase making a fool of someone comes from. James said, talking of which, where is Darby Allin? Where are Darby Allin? I don't know. If anyone knows where Darby Allin is. Perhaps he's gone on a vacation with Sting. Perhaps they're like, I don't know, living it up in Cancun. Spring break! You are comparing apples to oranges. James said ratings does not matter. F them. F all the ratings. Corvid, though, thinks ratings matter, but the comparison doesn't matter. Brenton said Ty surely is a beauty, isn't she? Holy smokes. Trini said the ratings don't matter to me because it's only US numbers and there's a whole world outside the US. So they're not reliable. Darby Allin is lying on an MTV reality show. Is he? John said Sammy almost killed Matt Hardy on 2 different occasions. The chair that he threw at his head is one of the most reckless. That was reckless. That was reckless. Look, he's certainly faced criticisms. Drop kick. Sammy goes down. Sammy gets back up to his feet. Knee strike. Ty on the outside, cheering Sammy on. Sammy goes up, looking for... Oof, God, got some crazy height there. Comes crashing down. Ty, really impressed, gives him a little kiss on the cheek. What a smile. I may or may not have some information on the whereabouts of Darby Allin, says Boomers. When did Matt Hardy join the firm? Has he? I don't know. There's a lot of AEW shows that I don't see, though. So, you know, it could have happened on Rampage. Could have happened on Being the Elite. Could have happened on Dark. Could have happened on Elevation. Could have happened on a YouTube exclusive. Could have happened on a number of places. Ty, on the outside, just kicked Danielson in the side of the head. We're at, I think, picture-in-picture. If this is picture-in-picture, I never quite understand why they never actually do anything. I mean, right now, it's literally Danielson on the outside, slowly trying to get back in the ring. They never really do anything of note during picture-in-picture. They never really do anything that you desperately need to see. Mitchell said, I've never understood are closed fists in wrestling illegal. They let them hit like 20 closed punches and suddenly say, open it up. Closed fists used to be. I don't think you can like constantly throw closed fists. If they do it in the corner, the referee will be like counting. I think you can probably get away with a few, but you're not meant to do like loads of closed fists. That's why in the corner with closed fists, the referee will tend to like count, or the crowd, that you know, 1, 2, like the crowd will be counting along as well. So yeah, my understanding is that you can do so many. I don't actually know what that number is. Have a look. It's a good question. I understand legalized in 2008. What is the first place kayfabe wise? I always thought Open Fist was a non-kayfabe. Closed fist is an old school rule. The kayfabe reason is that closed fists can cause serious damage, especially without gloves. The real reason is a combination of this and the fact that most fake punches look obviously fake. Hence why JR says open punches expose the business. Punching with a closed fist was against the rules in pro wrestling forever. Closed fist punching is just a normal punch, the way you would punch anyone. That's why people were always slapping and chopping. But now they just ignore the rule. And they straight punch each other. I've always been under the impression that you can do so many in a corner and the referee will be like counting, but you can't do, say, more than 3 or 5 or something along those lines. But, yeah, this is interesting, actually. On Sportskeeda, they've got the 5 most confusing rules. The 5 most confusing rules in WWE. Number 1 is the closed fist. One of the most under-enforced rules in pro wrestling, particularly when it comes to WWE, is the banning of the closed fist. Basically, this is designed to outlaw the use of closed fists when superstars strike their opponents. You might have heard commentators mention it over the years, particularly in the 80s with people like Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon, pointing out that the referee is letting it go despite being required to call the perpetrator out. The origins of the rule date back to when kayfabe was more strictly adhered to. Before Vince officially declared that wrestling was scripted, superstars were obliged to keep the facade going. If fans saw that a wrestler's face was unscathed after numerous blows from closed fists, it would have ruined the illusion. Interestingly, this is what led to other ways of hitting people in wrestling, such as chops, slaps, and knee strikes. Over the years, and with the relaxation of kayfabe, referees no longer appear to enforce the rule, and commentators rarely mention it. In fact, many of WWE's biggest superstars use closed fists to execute signature moves. People like Roman and Big Show would have not have been allowed to have used Superman punches or weapons of mass destructions back in the 1930s. John Cena is also someone who would have lost a major part of his arsenal. The 5-knuckle shuffle is technically done with a closed fist. I must admit, my understanding of it was that it was banned, but you were allowed to do so many. So the 5-knuckle shuffle is 1 shot. The weapon of mass destruction is 1 shot. 1 strike, I've never thought that to be an issue, to be honest. Back in the 1930s, I have no idea. But since I've been watching wrestling, I've seen people using closed fists. Interesting that features on this list, though, of 5 most confusing rules. So, closed fist is 1. How long both members of a tag team are allowed to be in the ring for? Very true. Having to defend a championship within 30 days? Very true. The free bird rule. I don't think there's any confusion about the free bird rule. I feel like the free bird rule is pretty straightforward. Overturning decisions after a match. I think that's referee discretion, isn't it? Referee's discretion as to what the referee wants to do. Maybe that's a bit messy, but yeah, good question, Mitchell. James said, don't know about you, but every now and then I still call Danielson Brian. Oh, yeah, I'm awful for doing that. Sammy going up top, perched. Danielson down. Danielson gets Sammy. Climbing up. He's round the back of Guevara. Going to look for a belly to back suplex, is he? I'm guessing Guevara's going to over-rotate. That's what they tend to do. Yeah. Spinebuster. Sammy goes up. Moonsault. Goes into a standing moonsault. Sammy then goes into like a shooting star, but LeBell lock applied here by Danielson. Danielson with the LeBell. Taz says the nose is the key. He can't breathe. Sammy in the middle of the ring is teasing that he's going to tap. I would like to have seen Ty do a bit of a better job on the outside. If you think about how great Sensational Sherry used to be, she'd be like banging on the ring, like screaming her head off. Like, and on the outside, you've got Ty just looking really like... She's not animated enough to be out there. I mean, in all fairness, comparing her to Sensational Sherry is a bit unfair. But Sensational Sherry was so good in that role. Shoulder up. I mean, at times, she would have been laying pretty much in the ring. Like, she would have crawled in, like, and been banging on the ring and kicking her legs and, like, really getting involved in, like, you know, being a part of it. So when she was with Macho Man, she was so good. Yeah, with Macho Man and $1 Million Man as well. But Macho Man, she was brilliant. I saw some old footage of her during the match of Hogan and Ric Flair in WCW. I haven't seen that match in years. But she's like proper in the cage. She's proper in the cage. Like they've ripped the dress off her. She's got like, you know, she's in her underwear basically. She's like trying to get out of the cage. She was like, oh, she was so good. So underrated. She really added to the drama of like a match. So good. I would make a legit argument she would be on a Mount Rushmore of women in the history of WWE. Because she was a former champion as well. It's just that women's wrestling was just not taken seriously. And so... Triangle. A match ending during commercial wastes valuable TV time in explaining the ending, said Davids. Ref, he's going to stop it. Sammy looks like he's gone out, so it looks like Danielson picks up the win. Danielson wins. Enigma said, I absolutely hate Tony Khan's booking. Get him out. You're out of there. Hawkins Jr., shout out to you, dude. I was going to say dude and bud, and it came out booed. Hawkins Jr., shout out to you. Danielson picking up the victory. We've got 45 minutes left of this show. Fun little match, that. Fun little match. Crowd a bit quiet for it, though. Tay didn't interfere 9 times. I'm legit shocked, says Adam. Yes, Matt has joined the firm, albeit against his will. Same as Matt, Maria, and Mike. I think both happened on rampages. Hopefully, Jeff gets better soon. Matt is twisting in the wind. Right, we're backstage with Penta. And Alex. Penta's going to defeat Moxley for the AEW Championship tonight. Sorry, Renee. Here's Luchasaurus and Christian. Luchasaurus has been walking through the opposition. Who's this? Orange Cassidy. Are you talking about me? Are you talking about this? Next week. Let's do this. Orange Cassidy then. Who, I don't know what the match is. Is it just him and Luchasaurus next week? Riho against Jamie Hayter next. At this point, kill this feud between Jungle Christian and Luchasaurus, said Christian. Heather said, OC, I love it. Alex said NXT was better than Raw and AEW this week. Commercial break. Corvid said he's trying hard to lose the title. It's just too much for him to have to carry it around. The hassle. OC is killing the promos, said Zoom Station. James said, Tavern, Bennett, Maria have not joined the firm. They were in ring with them at the same time on Rampage. Corvid said, another triple threat. I don't know. Is it? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's a triple threat. I feel like it might just be OC and Luchasaurus because Penta's got a match tonight. So I can't imagine he's gone and got himself into an All-Atlantic Championship match as well. So I don't know. I think it's just a one-on-one. The man's no business being in the position he's in. He's got no clue how to get a wrestling company over other than catering to indie-loving wrestling fans. I really want AEW to be more. Corbett said Ray versus OC versus Luchasaurus. Brenton said, I think the match is triple threat. OC is god-awful. Get him out of here. I genuinely don't know. I'm not being funny. I don't know if that has now made a triple threat or if it's just a one-on-one or not. And we'll find. There'll be a graphic, won't there? We'll find out. Justin said, my best friend, a brother, is a police officer. Last week he got married to the love of his life. That wasn't Penta. Oh, I thought that was Penta. Is that not Penta? Was that Phoenix? Coach Co said, only one man survived the electric chair, and he said death tastes like peanut butter. Yeah, but in all fairness, had he just had peanut butter for like his last meal? Could have been that, couldn't it? Do you know what I mean? Death might taste like Hot Pockets for me. Who knows? If you saw Rampage, you would understand, says Matt. I do think that's a bit of a problem, though. I do sort of feel like they could really do with, you know, helping catch people up for those people that don't get chance to watch Rampage. It shouldn't be a case that you are, like, you know, punished for not watching that show. I understand you've got to find ways of getting people to watch it. I do understand that. But equally, if it makes it a bit harder to follow the stories, I don't think that's going to be in their best interest. Big Time Baxter said, do you think NXT ratings can creep closer to AEW? Doing 700,000 4 times in 2 months is impressive. Do you think NXT ratings can creep closer? I really don't know. I feel like 700,000 is very, very good. I don't know how easy it will be for them to get to 900,000. That's just not a level NXT tends to get to. So, I mean, even when they had all them people on, maybe if they're unopposed and you put a load of main roster stars down there, then you might be able to get to it. So maybe you could do it then. Here's Jamie Hayter. Britt Baker's come out. Reba's come out. Jamie Hayter versus... Her name is Riho, and she's dancing on the sand. Here we go. Jamie Hayter is from Southampton, which is where the new Prime Minister's from as well. Apparently he was born in Southampton. They both took very different paths. Here is Riho. This is why AEW is not growing. A casual person flipping channels won't be able to tune in and understand the show. You have to do research to watch. Christian said Saraya versus Baker. Full gear. Brenton said Matt Hardy has joined the firm, not Matt Tavern. Sorry for any confusion. Matt Hardy, that's all right. Don't worry about it. Matthew has joined the firm. That's all we need to know. Right. We've got Riho in one corner. We've got Jamie Hayter in the other. And we've got about 40 minutes left to go. NXT is a hard watch right now. At least AEW look like real wrestlers, says Thomas. Corbett said, what research? Ledge Killer says, Jamie Hayter. Alex said, Tony Khan booking feels like video game booking. When is the game out, by the way? Have they announced a release date? I'm guessing it's early 2023. Is CM Punk in it as well? He's on the flipping cover, isn't he? What do we do about that? Fight Forever video game. Initial release date 2022. Wikipedia. What's Wikipedia saying? 2023. The game. It'll be out in 2023. Fight Forever features arcade game style, ladder matches, casino battle royal, and exploding barbed wire death matches. Online play and intergender wrestling. It's got a full creation suit. Lots of mini games, man. I saw the video of the mini games, made me laugh. There was a demo playable at the Tokyo Game Show in September, but I don't think there's an official release date yet. I'm sort of intrigued by it. I mean, I don't think I'll end up getting it because I didn't get WWE 2K22 because I just don't get time to play them, but I'm certainly intrigued. And it actually, I think, sounds a lot more like my kind of a game. Arcade style. 31st of December is the date that's used when there's no date. 31st of December on Amazon, said Matt. Let's play a game. What weighs more, Riho or Daisy's microphone and PC? He is a little thing, isn't she, Riho? Jamie Hayter in control. Oh my God, lovely. It's... Wow, she did it again, man. That's nice. They're calling it like a twisting snap suplex. A lateral drop. Yeah, very innovative. Very innovative from Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter applauding herself, taking a moment out. Seba, shout out to you, dude. Appreciate the support, my friend. Have you ever watched Darker Elevation? I've never watched a whole show of Darker Elevation. I mean, I have tuned into one to just get a feel. That was a long time ago, though. There was no crowd or anything. I haven't seen it since it moved to that wherever it is. Is it a Universal or Disney or something? It's got like a home, hasn't it? I've not watched it since it did that. But just wish some of these guys didn't look so generic. I think we can all agree, though, Jamie Hayter's cool. Britt Baker enjoying what she's seeing on the outside at the moment. Frank said, I used to hate AEW, but it has grown on me. I'm going to check it out, said Krista. Jamie Hayter is a beauty. Holy smokes, says Brenton. NXT has got high spots. I do like it, says Thomas. If the exploding barbed wire death match doesn't have sprinklers like in real life, then what's the point? Can't make it look like it was meant to be. It would be like, here's what you could have won. So you want it to look like it actually did. I would love it if you have a match and at the end of the match, you get to the bit where it's exploding. And at that point, you can't control anything. And it's like little sparklers and things going off in the corner. And it all looks a bit rubbish. And then out of nowhere, Eddie Kingston runs down and jumps on top of you and passes out. I mean, that would be genuinely funny. That would be funny. That would be a funny little thing to put in the game. Like maybe have the option of, do you want it to be real? Do you want it to be how it should be? Or do you want it to be how it was? And if you choose how it was, then you have the match. Match ends. And then that's when Then you get a few little sprinklers, and Eddie Kingston comes down and jumps on top of you. Why not? Have a bit of fun with it. Do you know what I mean? Have a bit of fun. We're all friends. We're all friends. That'd be a dub in my book. That would be a dub. They'd get a dub off me for that. I tell you what I would like as well. I don't know if you can do it, but Stadium Stampede. Imagine if you had the whole of the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium to wander around. So you can go to the field, you can go in the stands, you can go onto the concourses, you can go into the offices, and you can just brawl and fight and do a Stadium Stampede match. I don't know if that's an option, but that'd be sick if it was. I understand it would take a lot of work, but I think that's something people would really enjoy. And it would certainly make the game stand out from other wrestling games. No other wrestling games had that. Jamie trying to pick up Riho. Stomped to the midsection by Riho. When do you pull a trigger on Saraya and Baker? Gotta do it soon or else no one will care. I think you've got to build it, haven't you? I mean, I feel like they do keep brawling. We just saw them exchanging words backstage. I really feel like Saraya's got to be beaten down, put in a vulnerable place. Like, I feel like we've got to do some work first. I don't think it's as simple as, yeah, let's get it at the next pay-per-view. Like, it doesn't feel heated enough at the moment. She went for like a 619, but it was blocked by Jamie. Jamie, Riho thought she was going for a suplex. She's round the back elbows here by Jamie. Nice bridge to kick out by Jamie. Man United Hodge said, what happened to Chris Statlander? Changed the gimmick and then disappeared. I don't know, actually. Let's have a look. Chris Statlander. News. Recovering from knee surgery. Statlander provides an injury update. Chris Statlander, here we go, took to Instagram on August 13th to confirm that she had suffered a torn ACL. She would need surgery, which would take place on September 7th. She was questioned about future plans for the year. The only thing I can focus on is healing up. Since we're approaching Halloween, Statlander was asked about horror movies. She said, I would create my own. It would be a scary movie or a spoof. It would be like a scary movie or a spoof because I'm not a fan of horror movies. I don't think I have a good terrified scream for films, so I wouldn't be very good. There we go. Down goes. Oh, what was that? Riho seemed to come down on the head of Jamie there. I have to see a replay of that. That didn't look great. Drop kick. Riho. Head scissors. Takes down Jamie. Jamie collapsed down in the corner. Matt said, what gets me is there's people slating on AEW, but they do sit and watch 2 hours every week and watch long. Maybe do something else that you enjoy, says Matt. I think it's tricky though, isn't it? Because I think that if there are people that don't like AEW, don't want to watch AEW, it's absolutely not for them. I would agree. Like, just ignore it. Basically, just ignore it. Oh, plants it down. Code red 2. Kick out by Jamie. But I think there's a group of people as well that want to enjoy AEW and have enjoyed AEW. But maybe there's just a chunk of the booking that just doesn't really appeal. I feel like it's similar with WWE. I've watched loads of Raws. I mean, this week's Raw was not great. But you still watch it, don't you? Because it might have just been a bit of a one-off. Knowing Triple H, hopefully it is, but... Going for a... Oh, nice snap suplex there by Riho. Going for the cover 2. Shoulder up. Jamie Hayter has got a very Bam Bam Terry Gordy in-ring style, said Robs. Very unique. Brenton said, what was your thoughts on the Athena AEW Dark controversy? She laid it into that poor girl and was labeled as reckless. Can't say I disagree after watching the replay. I think that 99% of it was fine, to be honest. I watched it. She laid it in, but her strikes look so good. She was really like laying it in and forearms and everything. And actually, they could have been fantastic strikes. The reason why I say that is because when you looked at the girl's face after, she wasn't all bruised and battered. So that means that Athena could not have been contacting as bad as what it looked like she was. I mean, she jumps on and she's like wailing away, like really laying in these shots. When you see the girl after, she looks fine. So I actually think that some of those strikes could have just been like so good, like that people bought them, to be honest. I thought they were great. The one bit that I thought was a bit reckless is when she just picks her up and just dumps her out the ring. Literally picks her up and chucks her to the outside. The girl didn't seem to take a great land in there, and I think you can definitely make an argument that parts of that went a bit too far. There was a bit on the outside as well where I think she like threw her into the railings. That looked quite hard as well. So I watched like the highlights of it. And the strikes, I thought, were great. I thought that bit was awesome. And there was a few bits in there that I thought, yeah, that's really cool, man. It was a great looking scrap. Which, if it was safe, brilliant. But then there was a couple of bits like where she dumped her on the outside and I think hurled her into the railings. I was like, oh, I don't think there's any easy way of taking that stuff, to be honest. But that woman didn't complain. I mean, not that she would really, you know, that was an opportunity for her and you don't want to burn bridges, do you? So it might have been a bit snug for her and she might not have been happy with it, and she might have thought to herself, I can't really say anything. So yeah, I was a bit conflicted on it, but I thought parts of it looked brilliant, actually. If I'm Athena, I'm running with that, though. I don't want a reputation for being unsafe, but if she can do it on a regular basis, that kind of striking, and it looked really good, that could be a bit of a way of standing out, because some of the shots the women in particular throw look awful, and the men sometimes. Eddie Kingston was backstage just saying a few words. I know they're going out real like people together, says Wyatt Six. Who? Kingston's gonna snap at some stage, said Jadam. Matt Taven against Wardlow. That's on Friday. Darby Allin against Jay. Darby Allin's back. He's taking on Jay Lethal next Wednesday. It's Darby. I'm going to tell you a story. About a month ago, I went to Sting and said, I'm not happy. I'm not happy with where I'm going. You can't crawl into a hole and ignore the world because you're Darby Allin, said Sting. My biggest weakness is myself, said Darby. Tell your old friend to come to Dynamite next week and tell me what my biggest weakness is. I wish we'd make a move with Darby. Is Wardlow booking that I don't like about AEW, said Alex. Wardlow and MJF story was so good, they should have made Wardlow a main eventer, said Alex. Haven't seen Andrade since the backstage filth with Guevara, said Christian. Backstage filth. Daddy ass birthday bash next week. Yes. Yes. Oh, it is triple threat. Phoenix, Luchasaurus, and Orange Cassidy in a triple threat. Also, Soraya and Britt Baker sit down next week. And Chris Jericho takes on a former Ring of Honor champion. And coming up next is our main event of the evening. Commercial break. Right. Penta versus Jon Moxley. Andrade punched Sammy. It was likely an automatic 60 to 90 day no pay ban, said Corbett. Jaden said, apparently Andrade wants to go back to WWE. Think Road Dogg will be there to scissor Daddy. I don't think so. But it's nice, isn't it? Birthday celebration. Where is Mark Henry? He's still on Rampage, I'm guessing. It's time for the main event. Wyatt said, what's going on with the firm? They've put them together and now they're not doing anything. Nothing wrong with a predictable match. It's a good main event, said Alex. AR1 said, this Dynamite is boring. We need a QR code. QR code. QR code. QR code. Yeah. I want to see Tony Khan's psychological evaluation. That's what I want to see. QR code with a link to Tony Khan's psychological evaluation. Get some answers. Brenton said, barely have seen Satnam Singh, but from what we saw, I think AEW has the better giant because Amos is terrible. Bar is low, though. Thoughts? Yes, I think Satnam's better than Amos. I think he's been dressing in a suit and he's been looking, he's not doing the cliche, that kind of, do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. They've had Amos doing all the cliche stuff. And I don't know. All I'll say is I'm kind of into the Amos Braun story. Seeing them face to face was pretty cool. Like, I couldn't believe. I mean, I've met Braun, and Braun is like up there on me. And the idea that Amos is like this to Braun is, I mean, I just can't even fathom it. I can't even begin to get my head around it. So, craziness, I tell you, craziness. So, yeah, I am sort of into it. Avoid caffeine. Tony Khan, psych evaluation, under recommendations. Avoid caffeine at all costs. Subject is hyper enough. My guess is MJF goes against Moxley at the next pay-per-view and cheats to win, with the firm lying to the AEW universe when he said he was going to wrestle clean. James said, caffeine? You mean cocaine? Caffeine. It's a mixture of both. Coffeine. I'm begging of you. Please don't take Tony Khan. Coffeine. I'd get addicted to caffeine. I'm already fairly addicted to caffeine. Here comes one of the Power Rangers. Yeah! Go, Power Rangers. That Sesame Crack is perverted. No way would I want my nephew seeing that. You could do... I won't go there. Big Time Back said, where's Miro? He's been off TV for most of 2022. He's not injured. His wife CJ said there's no solid plans for him. I don't know, man. Honestly, I think these people get brought in with promises. You know, oh, come on, here's a load of money. We'll do this. We'll get you to the world title. And then once they're signed and you've had the bump out of them, because the thing is, you get like a bump in ratings. Oh my God, Miro's here, game changer. Then it immediately goes right back down again. And then that's it, innit? Then you've got to actually do work with them and build them up and do things with them. And Tony's just not been doing that with certain people. Got the toys that he likes to play with. And then the toys that, you know, it's going to take a bit of work to kind of build them up. And it's like, I can't be bothered. Can't be bothered. It's morphin time. I do miss God's favorite champion, said Lone Star Friends. Tony said, I wish WWE and AEW could make a couple of trades. Brent said, did you see the viral video of that time that Justin Roberts was on Jerry Springer? Still a bad announcer, but I feel bad for him. I saw a clip of it. To be honest, I never knew if that Jerry Springer stuff was true or not. I don't know if he might have just been paid to have gone on and, you know, been part of that story, or if that's a true story. Because wasn't it like his partner cheated on him or something? Game Changer has absolutely been destroyed. Game Changer. Daniel Bryan went to AEW to lose. He could have done that in WWE and still been big. Well, he won earlier. He won. Got a win. Moxley is mid, said Lone Star Friend. Danielson has been the worst booked person of them all, said Master Chief. Carlos said AEW is toast. Daniel said, just popping in. I've been watching the show, but haven't been in here. Would you agree the match quality has been great? Don't know if I would say great. I mean, I thought the tag match was great. I thought Jamie Hayter Riho was great. I enjoyed it. There was a couple of sloppy moments. I really liked Jamie Hayter. I don't know that was great. Sammy and Danielson was really, really good. Was that great? I feel like great's a really strong word. Great is a really strong word. The tag match was great. Danielson, Sammy, was that great? Around that area. I would agree there's been some really, really good in-ring action, and the tag match was great. So, yes, I would agree that there's been some really good stuff on the show. I don't think this show's a disaster. I do think, though, that it is going to be lacking that talking point. I've said before, you know, I want to do a video afterwards. What would I do it on? What's the big talking point that's coming out of this show? Maybe something will happen, like, at the end, like, within the next 17 minutes. But right now, I could not think of a video that I would need to do. Like, where's the conversation? I don't know. Tell you what, the Blackpool Combat Club jackets look great with the nicknames on the back. That and the FTR jackets would be great. I never stopped watching AEW because of how they book Danielson. I think he should have... Oh, I nearly stopped because now they book Danielson. I think he should have been Kenny when he first came in. Predictable ending coming up, said Vin. Moxley not bleeding would be the only shocker. Maybe the talking point happens in this match. Yes, maybe. Blaze said, do the video on the Elite tease. That's a good shout, actually. That's a good shout. That was quite interesting. That elite. I feel like it's teasing their return, but wonder what it leads to them coming back as. Yeah. Probably is the biggest talking point. Going for a clothesline, duck underneath by Penta. Penta's like, no. Miero. Moxley sticks his fingers up at Penta. Penta going for a kick, grabbed by Moxley. Moxley for a clothesline, kick there by Penta. Autocorrect took over. I meant Danielson should have beaten Kenny for the title when he came in. Did you see Fightful tweet that Maria and Mike had signed? I mean, Tony is just stockpiling. I didn't, but I sort of got that from seeing that they're on the show. So Moxley is down. AR1 said this show has been trash. Oh, I don't know. The tag match was really good. Great. I will say great. Tag match was great. Strike chop coming in. Chop there by Penta. Penta on the outsides. Does anyone think Penta will actually win, said Franks? I don't think so. I don't think anyone thinks Penta's going to be the new AEW champion. But who knows? Could be a surprise. Could be quite the shock. That would be the talking point, wouldn't it? New AEW champion. Does Elite pretend nothing happened? What would you do, said Unbroken. I would be angry. I would be angry. I would feel like, the fans didn't have my back. Where were the Elite chants? These fans are meant to be there because of us. So where was all the outrage? Where was the Kenny chants? Where was the Young Buck chants? Where was the fans demand? It felt like if they'd been released, AEW would have carried on. I'm sure there would have been a hit to ratings and there would have been a lot of upset, but it's not like AEW would have died. AEW would have continued. I'm sorry to say, this is Tony Khan's baby now, not Kenny and Young Bucks. So, it started that way. It seemed like, it was revealed with them looking at their phones and all that kind of stuff and showing off the logos and everything. So, it's... Oh, chop. Big chop there. So, I would be angry. I would be angry. Imagine AEW without the Elite. That was nearly a very realistic prospect. So now I would want vengeance on everyone. I'd want to just take out the locker room. I'd want to take out everyone's favorites. Would want to, we've just got rid of CM Punk. And that's not where it's going to end, basically. I'd use it. I'd be heel and I'd use it. I like a heel, Elite, said Tony's Dark Nightmares. I think fewer people care for the Young Bucks than people realize, said Master Chief. Where does this year rank to previous years for quality and interest? I think this is one of the worst. I don't know if it's just because it's in a bit of a lull right now and we're just coming off all that drama, but I think this will be one of the worst. I thought that they were schooling WWE during the pandemic, to be honest. In 2020, they started right at the end of 2019. In 2020, they had their own venue. And if you remember, they were doing it in like a bit of an outside space. They had wrestlers around the ringside when WWE were doing it in an empty performance center. WWE was doing it in a warehouse. There was no one around ringside, lacked any atmosphere at all. And then on a Wednesday, you would tune into Dynamite. They were doing it in that, Daly's place, which is a real weird venue, but it works. And it's kind of airy. And it was nice. And it felt more spacious, obviously, than just the performance center. And then you had all the people around the outside of the ring with a bit of energy. And do you remember they were doing great stuff like Britt being injured? And she was like sat on that truck and she was at ringside with a leg all bandaged and everything. And they were trying new stuff. I mean, some of it didn't land, but they were trying stuff. Stadium Stampede we saw for the first time. The dentist match we saw for the first time. There was a few bits and bobs that they were giving, and they were fighting all around Daly's place. Then you turn the channel over at the flipping Performance Center for WWE. And, you know, they did try some stuff like Money in the Bank and everything, but I thought 2020 was actually quite a strong year for AEW. I can't remember when CM Punk came in, if it was earlier this year or when that was, but I feel like the crowds have been brilliant for AEW as well. You normally get a red hot AEW crowds. So crowds are always something AEW do really, really well. They just seem to work them up into a frenzy before we go live. But yeah, this year, what with like, you know, the MJF drama and then him going missing for it. I mean, like, you lost MJF for I don't know how long. Months. And that's a problem. He's one of the best parts of your show. And then obviously you get the big fallout and you lost the Elite for how long? Now you're seemingly going to lose CM Punk forever. So, and then I think if you look at the Forbidden Door and look at like how many people were absent from Forbidden Door due to injuries and everything, we didn't get the dream matches. We got good matches, but we didn't get mainly the dream matches that people wanted. There was no Kenny. You know, people forget Kenny, before he was suspended, was injured for most of this year. So injuries have kind of derailed this year, I think. Worse than any previous year in their very short history. Are there any big-time soccer stars that are big wrestling fans? I don't know. Not aware of any. I don't know if they've ever been really vocal about like wrestling, to be honest. It's not something that tends to come up in interviews. I'm sure they watch. Wrestle with Andy, hello, said, do you think CM Punk's debut was the best moment, or would you say Cody Dustin? I don't know. It's hard, that is. I feel like undoubtedly the bigger moment is CM Punk. Is it better than any other moment? It was done really well. It was done really well. Cody Dustin, man, that match was fire. It was so good. To be honest, if someone, I'm trying to think how you would judge it, and I'm trying to think if I had to rewatch one, would I rewatch Hangman and Kenny versus the Young Bucks from, is it 2021? Early 2021? Would I rewatch that, or would I rewatch CM Punk coming back out again? I think I'd want to watch the match. That match is maybe my favorite match in AEW history. Hangman and Kenny versus the Young Bucks. It's brilliant. I think it's Revolution 2021. It's brilliant. And I'd have that as maybe my favorite match. Cody and Dustin would be right up there as well. I think I'd say CM Punk's bigger. But better is just personal, isn't it? Yeah, it was very good, though. It's very, very good. If that was this year, it's an absolute highlight. Maybe the highlight. I can't remember when he came in, though. I can't remember if it was early this year or the end of last year. I'll have a look. CM Punk AEW debut. Last year. It was... Might have been further back than I realised, actually. Moxley goes down. Penta in control. Became world champion. Punk made his return on August 10th. I would have said much later than that, to be honest. So, oh, that felt like a 3. That felt like a 3. Yeah, that's way longer than I thought, to be honest. I would have said end of 2021. I was even wondering if it was early 2022. All the dates just bleed into one. Lone Star said this match is ridiculous, not in a good way. Kick to the midsection. Paradigm shifts. Death Rider, that one. 2, 3. Moxley wins. Moxley wins, and we've got 6 minutes to go. John, shout out to you. Kevin said the best moment was Lucha Bros and Young Bucks in the cage. John said, I just tuned in. What happened before MJF did another overly long promo? No, he didn't, actually. Oh, Morrissey. Here is the firm. The firm are unloading. MJF said he didn't want the firm to do this. Could MJF cash in now? Could he cash in? He could come down. Here's Stokely Hathaway. How long we got? 5 minutes. Oh, this will be good, man, if he cashes in now. MJF, the new champ. I'll take that. And then at Full Gear, it's the rematch. We've got security making their way down. Ringing the bell. The firm is dealing with security. What's happening? They've chained the door shut. No one can get in. No one can get out. So firm are just beating up on Moxley. No one can come to the save. We'll do something then. Right, he's gone out to get a chair. Chair. Moxley's fighting back. Kick. Moxley goes down. And the firm are beating him down. This is going to be the cash-in, said Master Chief. I wish MJF would cash in right now. Here's MJF. MJF has come down. He's not got the chip, though. Kicks. MJF is heading back up the tunnel. He's going to come out with the chip, isn't he? He's got 3 minutes. 3 minutes. He's coming out. He's running down. Oh, he's not got the chip. Surely he can't cash in the chip if he doesn't have the chip. He just said to Stokely, you're fired, and Stokely smiles. Oh, no. Now they've turned on MJF. Now the firm are taking out MJF. Kicks coming in on MJF. This is going to be MJF's babyface turn. Yeah. He hasn't wanted to do it this way then. Looks like he was telling the truth. Low blow, no point deduction. If MJF told them he didn't want them to interfere and they did, he should have beaten them up. Well, they're beating him up right now. Oh. MJF down. Renee should have either slapped MJF or walked away from him, constantly taking the mic from her, said John. They're really going to go face with him. That's weird. Face MJF, said Master Chief. To the outside, MJF. Morrissey on the outside. So MJF has been beaten down. This is quite the surprise. MJF trying to fight back at Morrissey. MJF goes down. Morrissey shouting at MJF. Big strikes. They're beating him down again. Referee coming over. No one can save MJF because the door is apparently padlocked. Morrissey's going to look to choke slam MJF through the table. And he does. And he does. MJF gets planted down. Moxley beaten up. MJF beaten up. Please read my comment. I'll only ask one time. It's really important to the entire planet, said William. What is it, William? I don't want to let the entire planet down. I don't want to let the planet down, William. There we go. Let me know your thoughts. Votes in the poll. Dynamite has come to an end. What did you think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you love it? How did you rate it? What are your thoughts? What do you think? It seems like we are potentially going face with MJF. MJF saying that he doesn't want to win dirty and doesn't want to use the ring. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. But he did tell the firm to not get involved. They got involved. He certainly wasn't happy about it, was he? He didn't cash in. He didn't bring the chip down. MJF versus Moxley at Full Gear next Friday. Is it on Friday? Is Full Gear on a Friday? Is it? Surely not. Full Gear on a Friday night? No, Saturday, 19th of November. 19th of November. We get a tag team of MJF and Moxley for one match against the firm, ? Said Unbroken. Heather said, I can get behind the beatdown because of Ethan Page was in it. Let him in, scores it a 7. Shaquem, shout out to you. Appreciate it, Shaquem. I think you found your video talking point, says Brenton. Maybe. MJF being beaten up by the firm. Don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I feel like that's a video that I could do, maybe put it on the second channel, but to be perfectly truthful, it's not as big as like The Rock's daughter debuting, is it? I don't know. I think MJF as a face is interesting. See how he does. WWE decided against Corbin as a face. 7 said Dylan. 8 said Crimson Gaming. Let him in, said 7. Who do you think can beat Rhea? Asuka. Scott said Razor's Edge and chokeslam through the table. Moxley didn't bleed. That's a video. Good point. Alex, good point. Joel said 7.5. Main event was a bit overbooked. Tarek said, are you excited for SmackDown? 100%. Edge, Ego's Edge was beautiful, pitch perfect. She came with a 5. Firm and MJF are working, Moxley said Wyatt 6. It's a hell of a beatdown. It's a hell of a beatdown for him to take just to throw Moxley off the scent. There's a chance that it's gonna, just be that way. But Paul, shout out to you. Said I stopped by last minute. Paul, let me know, what did you think of the show? We've got about 140 odd votes. James said 725. Good show. Don't get them turning on MJF, but maybe it's all a plan. Feel like Morrissey and Ethan Page did more to Mox than MJF beatdown. Erase Mind said Morrissey has got fleas. That's breaking news. Tahil said 7.5. John said, when I get a chance to watch, I will come back with a score. Corbin said, getting attacked by heels doesn't magically turn someone face, especially when it's MJF we're talking about, and he's pulled the same stuff before. John said, do you think Cena will be at Survivor Series? Maybe, but I don't think so. Survivor Series, I suppose it is a big show, but is it really a big show? It's one of the big 4, but it's miles behind SummerSlam, Rumble, and WrestleMania, but they could look to make it feel a bit more special. What with it being War Games, and maybe reach out to John. So maybe it's always hard to say though, isn't it? Because he does a lot of films, and I think you'd have to have got him well in advance. I can only imagine he's got a busy schedule. Zoom Station said MJF can't be a heel after 20 heels beat him down. Jim said the OC needs someone who can match Rhea's strength. That's either Charlotte or Beth. Rock at the end of Survivor Series is likely, said List of Jericho. 10 out of 10. I think it will be like when AEW first started. MJF was a quasi-face with Cody, but people kept looking and waiting for him to turn because they saw it coming. Zero devil worshipping thing was a bit odd, said Alex. That was a bit odd. This is a case of Frankenstein's monster. MJF made the firm, but Hathaway is now in control. Wondering how they deal with it going forwards. Have you acknowledged your tribal chief, Roman Reigns? I acknowledge him every morning when I wake up. Corey said, you are an alien, and gives it a 6 out of 10. Main 2K said, what happens? The firm attacked MJF. That's what happens. MJF is going to hire BTS as his new crew and bodyguards. MJF is going to be booked like Stone Cold's DT8 Soul Rebel, no friends, outspoken. He will be the next champion. We've had 160 votes. Let's see if we can just get a few more before we wrap this up, before we call this a day and put a bow on things. Rolling Stone's song that MJF came out with when he was dressed as the devil was Sympathy for the Devil. And now he's playing that card. He's slapping us in the face with it, says Corbett. Roman is not my tribal teeth. Heather said, well, we all know he will be the next champion. We knew that as soon as they stripped Punk of the title. Adam said, see you on Friday night. See you for SmackDown. Brenton said, does MJF go crawling back to the Pinnacle to help for revenge? We'll have to wait and see. Right, I would say it's up in the air, to be honest. I mean, he's been beaten down by the firm. So is it going to be a case that he is a face now? Is it a case that this is all a plan to throw Moxley off his guards? I mean, I don't feel like that's going to... I don't know. I mean, Moxley could turn his back on MJF thinking, well, I don't need to worry about him. Like, I've got to worry about the firm. And then MJF attacks him from behind. So it could be a ruse. It could be a plan. So still not 100%. But as of right now, it feels like we're staring at a face MJF, that being more likely than ever before, or since he turned heel. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see where it goes. Have to see where it leads. Right, let's have a look and end this poll then. So, 7 to 7, 7-5, 38%. 8 to 10, 28%. 6 to 6, 7-5, 18%. 5-7-5 or below, 14%. So, 7 to 7-7-5. That's where this week's show levels out. So, there we go. That is AEW done for another. Right, awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot for joining us and sharing your thoughts. We are back again on Friday, of course, for SmackDown, and a big stream this weekend with Jake Paul taking on Anderson Silva. We're going to be watching Katie Taylor first. That fight sort of ends as the Jake Paul undercard starts, so I think we're just going to do one big stream. We'll start doing like the Katie Taylor into Jake Paul. Probably means that stream's going to go on for quite a while, but there's going to be plenty to talk about. So, yeah, appreciate the support. Thanks for joining us, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.